All right, welcome back to the Couch Command. It has been a while, and so we aren't doing a normal episode today. We're getting those organized in the future, but today I just had with me Isaac.
Hey, thanks for having me again after your big move.
Holy hell, man. Yeah, I got stories to tell forever about how it's just been an 8-month long action sequence of like finding out I was on a sinking ship or a crashing starship and I had to move, and then like it was all hopeless, and then I'm just running around the ship just trying to get everything in order, and then just barely as the ship goes through the atmosphere I leap out the hatch and land on top of a building and escape. And yeah, it's been a road. So yeah, thank you.
Well, congratulations on the other side. I hope you're in a good place.
Yes.
Financials decent. You managed to survive the move, and you're in a better place for it.
Yep. And now that I live alone, like it's gonna be even easier just to schedule podcasts, dude podcasts, and not worry about roommates walking through or interruptions. So yeah, I'm hoping to get more podcasts and like what's happening. Not to jinx anything, but I'm gonna start trying to have on some bigger like guests. Not bigger. You're still Lobster Magnet reviews for me, man. Like you're still a big deal to me. I love your stuff.
I'm glad to hear it. It's always nice to have that appreciation, even when you're rocking Vin Diesel with the great shitpost thumbnail of Rock and a diesel engine. It's like, yeah, this is gonna win the internet. Yeah. Oh, fuck no. Damn it.
That's a conversation, man. Like because like there's another YouTuber that I like called Comic Girl 19, right?
Yeah, she's had such an interesting career because she had like a real big high, and now she's just kind of like still like pushing through.
Weird too, because like I saw her put out some new stuff, and it's fantastic, well produced, and like a couple hundred views. Like, what YouTube? How does your algorithm work, man? Like,
it's a cursed thing that everyone is stuck with because, when it works great for viewers, not so much for creators, and they don't tell you why it works for not so much for creators.
So the next guest that we do have coming up eventually is Christopher Kamen Lee, who a lot of people will know as Andros from Power Rangers in Space, the series they say that saved Power Rangers.
Oh, damn. That's an exciting get.
Yeah. That like Power Rangers in Space is it's up there in the debate of like best series of all time. I would say Andros, his character, debate best Red Ranger of all time. Like it was the Beast Wars moment of the franchise, if you're ever a Power Ranger fan.
I think that kind of like elevated it a little bit more and breathed fresh air into the franchise.
Yeah, like Transformers, like G1, like how it first started. I loved it. I wouldn't call it like, the greatest stories ever made, but like, it was the solid base, and that was like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and whatnot. And then finally, like, it did the sci-fi jump where like in Power Rangers Space, all of a sudden they started laying down like more solid world building and places you could be, different kinds of heroes and warriors that you could be in that world. And it all went to a knockdown drag out with all villains fighting at the end. It was, yeah. So yeah,
the Avengers. So I know originally you were planning a big Boba Fett episode, and you hold that off on that. But I am morbidly curious. Can we spend 5 minutes before we talking about all the other shit that's happened between you and the last time?
Absolutely, and let's see how much we can hold ourselves back. But like, I'm just thinking, like with podcasts like this, there's always more to talk about, and like if we go too far, like the other people that we also have on. They'll add something new, and I don't know. I'll try to hold back. Okay.
So just give me your 5 minute, your like 4 or 5 minute take. I have a bigger subject I want to bring in that I think you'll like. But just give me your 5 minute take on Boba Fett.
In the interest of something to full disclosure, I think is how you say it. One of my high school friends is the prop master on the show, and so like he's a good friend of mine. His name's Josh Roth. You can even see him in like the behind the scenes stuff. And so he might listen to this, and I'm a friend of his. So who can tell how biased I have become as a result?
So all right. So you have a very positive reception.
Pretty dang positive, but I understand because like I've been preparing for this podcast by watching all these videos about how much people hate Book of Boba Fett and trying to go, okay, why, and like I've been trying to figure that out, and I'm pretty sure I get it now. But here's my take on why I like it. I'm not going to worry too hard because like in the first place, I don't think we should ever be doing a Boba Fett TV series or movie at all. Like, he is a good Sixth Ranger character who's like mysterious, shows up in action sequences, and you're like, holy shit, it's Boba Fett. That's what he is. He's not a central character. And like what we ended up getting, there's just no way around it with like how the world is structured. I'm sorry, but you're not going to get. People wanted to have true blue crime lord Starman who will blow away bad guys if they talk wrong at him or something like that. But what we had is we have Disney Plus and also Timur. I forget how to say his last name. If you know,
I do not. I'm not gonna risk that.
He has put in so much work as the central Boba Fett clone man guy for so many years. There's no way the company wasn't going to be just giving him his own TV series to say thank you. And that's what we're seeing. Like, we're not seeing the Boba Fett series. We're seeing the love letter to this actor and letting him have some fun center stage. And I think that it was rushed. And that's why everything looks really weird and cheap. Because, like, I feel like they weren't expecting to make a Boba Fett show this soon, I think. And so they rushed it. And also on top of rushing it, they're hit with the constraints of not real crime boss. And then also, hey, we love this guy. So as a result, you get a Boba Fett show that looks like this. And that's why I'm going to be happy with it. Because I'm like, all right, I see the form this has to take. And I'm going to chill out. Because all I want is like my Star Wars to not hate Star Wars. So after like those movies, like it's kind of like, yeah, like after experiencing The Last Jedi, it's not much that can really bother me these days, which is also why I kind of like the Halo show.
Oh, yeah, that was my two. Wait, so give me the connection. Yeah. What about it makes you like the Halo show?
Oh man, like so, like I've been
save the Halo. We have a lot to talk because the two subjects I wanted to go into was Pircard and Halo.
Oof, Pircard is.
I feel this. What you feel about Pircard, I feel about Halo. But so what about Boba Fett reminded you, or what about Boba Fett made you kind of remind Halo? Because I missed the last thought.
Because I like both of them because I'm pulled back a bit because like so with Pircard, he is actually supposed to be Jean-Luc Picard. So this isn't like some alternate. It's not supposed to be an alternate stupid universe where nothing adds up to what he once was. Versus Halo, which is its own self-contained remix. So that they aren't getting things right that should be in Halo, that's fine because this is its own self-contained remix. And that's what I'm also getting with this Boba Fett. Boba Fett, I'm not taking it. The biggest complaints I see people having of Boba Fett is how much he's not Boba Fett. But if I'm going into this as like, I'll take this as bootleg Star Wars, where things aren't right and just have more simple fun. So I'm changing gears. And then also like with the Mandalorian episodes that we're in, I loved those because it was like, hey, special bonus episodes of like, you know, this character in this show. I know that changes the show, but I'm okay with it. Like now suddenly I get for 2 episodes, the production value just skyrocketed.
Yeah, they put a lot more money in that.
Mm-hmm. Because I feel like they had just more time and development for that section versus like the rush job they were doing with everything else. So yeah, that's my take. I am the only person who likes Book of Boba Fett. I completely see its flaws. It is completely not real Boba Fett. But if you just let all that go, much like with the New Adventures of He-Man, you can enjoy it.
I will say I like this defense of Boba Fett much better than your defense of the Suicide Squad, and I'm more inclined to give you, sympathy and like I could see that. And
I still think about our arguments about Suicide Squad. Still, like, I'm sorry, guys, it's not that bad.
No, it is. It is. God damn it. That's the kind of argument that makes me angry. While Boba Fett, I could agree that there's a sort of a charm, but obviously I'm on the hater side of Boba Fett. I think the idea of a Boba Fett TV series was a bad idea. He's a fun side character, and basically the TV confirmed all the reasons. You can't do Disney crime lord where like all Boba Fett's crime is he just like walks around and gets tribute for it. Like the benevolent Robin Hood crime lord is just boring, and it doesn't need to be super gritty, but it needed to be something a little bit more involved. It also doesn't make sense of why he wants to be a crime lord versus the big mercenary. The fact that it transitions into a a Mandalorian show just shows like there wasn't a lot of faith into the premise. I was also annoyed that the Mandalorian backtracks the Baby Yoda to like he rejoins with the Mando. I think that, like that to me, like you could do it maybe later on. They reunite and it's a big thing.
When he was getting his new starship and it had that little bubble place for one other dude, I'm like,
it's like, I think I know what's happening here.
Yeah.
And then you had the Luke Skywalker thing, which at first I was like, oh, this is so fun. But then once I learned that they didn't actually have Mark Hamill voice it, that really pissed me off. Yeah. That like you've got like this guy who has, is like one of the most well-respected voice actors, and you can't throw him a paycheck to do some new Luke lines that you could like edit. It has to be computer generated. Like I could deal with the uncanny Luke, and I think like if you had the voice. Just like they had the real voice actress of the Cortana. Like, as a longtime Halo fan, I was like, here's a nice little bomb to make me feel better. I'm less enraged. If I just close, that's the Cortana I remember. I think that would have gone a long way, but I do not like this the CGI synthesis voice acting and the synthesis Luke. Or I think you should have had Mark Hamill do a voiceover.
Agreed.
I think that was like really disrespectfful to not do that. And then I think what really I'll get into more detail when you do the more official thing. But one thing that really
I'm gonna hear about. I can lay down a. Nobody listens to this podcast anyway. We only have like a few downloads, so
all right.
I'm gonna say something a little sacrilegious.
Uh-oh.
I love Mark Hamill. I do. I think in live action, maybe he's not the best actor, and that's why they keep doing this to him, and I hate it, and I can tell it hurts. Like with the Empire Strikes Back, he was really upset actually, where like he didn't get to act with everybody else, like he got to be stuck off.
And Dagobah.
Yep. Day in, day out, he's like him away from like his friends and cast, so he didn't get to like play with them. And then, like, they did to him again in Last Jedi, and dude was fucking furious. But what I kind of wonder sometimes is if the reason is because his acting, oftentimes I love him, but I feel like I'm seeing him if it's live action. Except for the only thing that was good about Last Jedi, which I was going to say for the Last Jedi podcast, is that I think it might be the best acting performance I've ever seen him give. But I think the reason of that is because we were seeing him genuinely angry as fuck. Like, the Rian Johnson freaking ran him through the ringer. And therefore, we got the most genuine performance from him, but it's from, like, a dark place. So, like, I think that's why oftentimes we don't get to see him on screen with other actors or whatnot, because his performance isn't on the same level as Oscar Isaac or Daisy Ridley. Or I guess he was with Daisy Ridley. Is that?
Well, Daisy Ridley's not the greatest actor either.
Yeah. He wasn't up against a great another actor there. So yeah. So do you get what I mean? Like why?
Yeah,
like
I understand that.
And like seeing him in other stuff. Each time I see him, except for Slipstream, that was really good. I liked him in Slipstream. But other than that, he's using. So I think that's part of why he gets kept apart. which
that makes sense.
like.
Although, but I still think he's a really great voice actor, even if he's not great on screen. And you could at least get him in the voiceover booth. And I'll accept CGI meat puppet Luke if you just have the real Luke do the voice.
Fully agreed. And yeah, it seems to be like if they have to touch up his voice performance digitally, at least have him there and not. Yeah, like it is a little weird, but really well done. That the AI configured that? Holy shit.
Yeah, it is an amazing showcase of technology. I will not deny that. But like, I think that what drove me crazy about the Boba Fett is that like at the end, you had a great storyline introduced. I'll just say this. They should have had Cat Bane at the very beginning of the series. That should have been the story focus. It would have tied up to his storyline from the Clone Wars. The idea that his like evil father figure comes back and then their philosophical approaches towards life forces them to clash would have made a much more interesting series than like introducing a new problem and then it goes away. Here's the Hutt twins. You're gonna have to deal with them. The Hutt twins are fine. They're gone in an episode. Here's the Black Rancher. The Black Wookiee is he's a good Wookiee now. Here's the lame speeder bike gang. The Power Rangers.
Okay, I keep on trying to see, can I defend the lame Power Ranger speeder bike gang? And not really, but okay. Okay. So, because I was wondering, because we tried to talk about it earlier, like, so what does it take for me to get like angry and dislike something? And I think a lot of it comes down to caring. And like, if I can see you cared and you fail, I'm still gonna give you a clap, like good job, like you tried. And like, so the speeder bike gang, I can tell that Robert Rodriguez was having the time of his life. He was very happy with what he was doing and always kept on coming up short. So like that, I could see that he was trying to have fun. That makes it okay with me versus like the Star Wars movies where too aggressively I felt like they didn't give a shit, such as like Force Awakens. You have all the money in the world, yet you throw 6 X-Wings at a planet buster, and then that was just kind of it. You guys don't care, and that makes me angry. Oh, Luke Skywalker just doesn't do the Force anymore. The guy's got a story. Oh, you just don't care. But here, even though you got like freaking 1950s biker gang on Vespas, I saw the love.
Here's my defense. Like the last episode is kind of a mess, but the reason why I enjoyed it is because it felt like Robert Rodriguez. He directed the last one, I think, right?
Pretty sure.
It felt like he was smashing toys together.
Yes,
with a $500 million budget.
Fucking exactly.
Was it great storytelling? No, but I appreciated the novelty of like seeing some guy just like have all the tools and treating them like fucking toys.
It felt like watching that, and also like watching the speeder bike chase. Even like all of it looked like what it would look like if you were playing with toys.
Yeah. It felt like and then Boba Fett rides the Rancor and he fights the robots.
Which that I left out. Yes, that is also part of why I have some respect for it, because I know like what people want is like, normal movies and TV shows, and like it can be done that you can have great action and make it look, quote unquote real. But yeah, the downgrade to, and then my motorcycle makes a jump and it skids out, and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what it looks like when I'm playing with when I used to play with my toys. And also, did you see like there was like some kind of behind the scenes thing with Robert Rodriguez where that is how he did?
I did not see. I mean, I know they have them on Disney Plus. What was it? What was it like for the Book of Boba Fett? I'm sure they were like super interesting because
it was. There's one for the end of The Mandalorian where Robert Rodriguez was stepping in, and they literally did block out what he wanted to do in that episode with action figures. Like it was in the backyard. Him and his buddies. Yep, him and like some other people. I forget who he had, but it was like in his backyard. He was like, and then it would go like this. It was he was doing what it looked like when me and my buddies used to play Star Wars as a kid. And I was like, oh, cool. So
So
yeah,
it did make my like faith waver a little bit on the John Favreau Dave Filoni dream team, um, just because. But maybe you're right. Maybe it was just super rushed, and they had like a pilot for season 3 of The Mandalorian, which they threw in there, and then just
yeah,
jabbled together some Boba Fett to feed the beast of the content machine.
yeah. Like when I look up like behind the scenes stuff, a lot of the stuff that turns out looking and being so good is because they had a good amount of lead up time to plan things out. And then if they look like this, it's because we gotta get this done, and like you gotta get all the sand on the set to do the this and that, and on paper, like it probably looked great. And yeah, like I just saw that while they came up short of making like Mandalorian level, I saw them care. They weren't just like, we're going to have Boba Fett on, so we can just take him apart and make him look bad, and like, yeah, I feel like they didn't hate what they were doing. They liked it and failed. There you go.
They were still having fun, which to me, like it doesn't. I will understand your why you enjoyed Boba Fett, because I can enjoy the novelty of people getting to just smash action figures together, even if it is not the greatest story, even if there are missed opportunities, even if it was a fundamentally bad idea.
Oh yeah,
So,
fundamentally bad idea. But like, I feel like the execs and like the fans, there's just no way anyone wanted to live without having a freaking Boba Fett something, and it just forced this creation into being, and this is what we're gonna get if like they love that actor, and there's no way like he has spent like 20 years or more doing that character, and there's no way they're gonna be like, we're gonna make Boba Fett, and yeah, not you, dude. Like what? Yeah, not you.
Well,
Something else.
I think that's a good segue, though. It's interesting you should mention that to what I will call our trilogy of failures. And our first trilogy of failures is The Matrix Resurrections.
Ooh.
Do you know the behind the scenes reason why they didn't get Morpheus back or
No.
Hugo Weaving?
No. Or
I don't either. I don't know if it was like a budget issue, if they just declined it. The Morpheus thing really pissed me off. Because like I think Lawrence Fishburne would be happy to come back, and I think Morpheus, like you ever see the Imagination Land trilogy of South Park?
Yes.
So in it they have like that council of good characters, and it's like all the sage mentor characters you loved as a kid and would love to have, and it's like Luke Skywalker, Glinda the Good Witch, Aslan the Lion, Gandalf. And Luke Skywalker, Jesus, and who else is on that list? Morpheus. And to me, that like speaks to how much weight that character had in cinema as like one of the greatest mentor characters, as like one of the most beloved good guy characters, that like he went on this like fictitious council of good guys, that he was as beloved as Luke Skywalker and Glinda the Good Witch. And I use that example and it just to like, I forget the name. I can't pronounce the actor's name who they used to replace the not Morpheus.
Yeah.
But it was such like you couldn't bring back like Lawrence Fishburne. You couldn't write an excuse
with Morpheus. The slightest hint of what might have happened was, I think there might have been a falling out with him and the Wachowskis. Like I feel like I saw something where it doesn't seem like they talk anymore. And I forget what happened. And like they did to keep on punking his character after the first movie. Like and. Then lastly, like age does happen. Lawrence he's pretty out of shape these days, so
he doesn't need to be running around and kicking. He just needs to say smart things and give guidance and help you realize your inner potential.
Although he stopped, they for some reason they stopped making him. Yeah, they stopped making him that as of like I think even the second movie, and they started playing
the big mistake. That was the big mistake in the second movie, is that they kept on putting him in action sequences, and Lawrence Fishburne did not have the action guy body.
Yeah, but like then they started moving the leadership over from him to Jada Pinkett.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, because they did a lot of like you remember the story of the great transmedia Matrix video games
Yes.
where they had like a whole story focused on Jada Pinkett's character and the other guy Ghost, and they actually like used some of that Warner Brothers money to film like full
Yep.
live action cutscenes. That was always an impressive endeavor back in the day, which I was always like still commend the Wachowskis for like being that bold to like elevate the because like oh god, there's this. Someday I'll make either a video or a discussion about this, but like,
Mm-hmm.
have you ever heard about the Lucas hierarchy of canon?
I think so, but please say it again.
So let me pull it up so I can actually Lucas hierarchy of canon. So back when George Lucas, George, sorry, I just want to like there's this picture I want to have while referencing. So basically, the idea was that like because there was like Star Wars, there we go. So first, there's like different levels of canon. As you know, there's many things. There's Star Wars, the original films. There's the TV spinoff. There's the books. There's the comic books. So Lucas implemented this hierarchy of canon. So the G canon is the George Lucas canon. That is the highest level of canon. Those are the 6 movies that George Lucas did. Nothing that goes that is made below it can contradict anything in G canon. Next is Clone Wars, television canon. Clone Wars is the next highest level of canon. It can't contradict anything in the G canon, but nothing. But it's higher in the hierarchy, so all the things that are below it can't contradict with the Clone Wars. It is more authoritative. If the Clone Wars says something happens and a book has some conflicting information, it doesn't count. That is the canon that is higher above the T canon. Then there's the C canon, which is the all expanded universe, books, comics, video games. C canon cannot contradict T or G canon, and if it does, it's disregarded, and it is the lowest in the hierarchy. You could completely forget about it. And then there's whatchamacallit, the non-canon, which is Star Wars Infinities and alternate endings to video games, like the one where this, Force Unleashed, where you kill Leia and Luke and all the other people.
And like Disney Star Wars movies, right?
No, this is before. This is pre-Disney.
Okay.
I guess it's Disney Star Wars, if you consider.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. So, in transmedia, like everyone loves transmedia. The idea that like you can have a property, have it exist in multiple mediums. You tell this huge, expansive story. Some do it better, and I think one of the great pioneers were the Wachowskis back with The Matrix in 2002, 2003. Because they had this multimedia project where they had comics, they had the Animatrix, they had the video games, and the philosophy that connected all of them is that all of the Matrix canon was relevant. The video games were canon to the movies. It wasn't that the video games were lesser than the movies, or the Animatrix was lesser than the video games. It was all different parts of a singular whole. So they were really good at orchestrating that. Obviously, in today, there's all kinds of different universes, all kinds of different mediums, and I think one of the reasons why manga is so successful in anime is because there's always the prime manga timeline, which doesn't have a bunch of derivative spin-offs where it just gets confusing to an audience. So I guess, what do you think of the Matrix Resurrections?
That was a travesty. That was terrible. That is an example of someone doing stuff and seeming like they hate it. Like, oh no, there was so much wrong. Like the problem that I noticed a long time ago, was where I found a way to like, there's like apps you can get that allow you to surf every movie ever made that's on the internet, so that you can like watch by the year and just find out what happened in 1983 and like.
Oh, that's interesting. I haven't heard of any apps like that.
It's called like there's like Cody, and there's other stuff that you can find on YouTube that you can like hack into like a Fire Stick or your streaming thing of choice, and like being able to go through the movies like that was beautiful and fun and eye-opening on like how the further back you go, the less the character is acknowledged during a movie. And that's the hugest problem that I'm running into lately. Where with new Star Wars, it knows too much that the Star Wars movies are a thing. And it seems to acknowledge that we're in a Star Wars movie. And this is what a Star Wars is. And then, like, The Matrix, they're doing that too now. Like, instead of doing a true sequel that everybody wants, like, where what else can happen in this weird-ass world where these things are in play, please, dazzle me. But instead, they made an allegorical tale on, like, rebooting their own show and how much they don't want to do it. And you're just like, guys, like, who do you think this is going to light up the cinema? I don't know. Yeah, just
it was weird. They were like trying to write themselves a hall pass, but also trying to be there's only one sister involved. I think Lana was the one who did it. Mm-hmm. The only one sister was involved, and it was like a horrible mess of like trying to write yourself a get out of jail free card while also being like, "Ooh, I'm so clever. We're calling out Warner Brothers," which was just insufferable. And then when it became time, we're like, "Oh yeah, we're into like Matrix mode." You lost all your sense of goodwill. That even bringing back the Merovingian is just kind of like, I don't care. This is a stupid story.
Action spam. They freaking did action spam.
It wasn't even good action spam. It was like less creative. It was just like Neo, like all he did was do like the superhero energy blast again and again.
Yeah, and then like dust ups that don't add up to much of anything, such as like when the Merovingian and that those people attacked, and it looked like it was Netflix caliber. When I was looking at that, I was like, "What?" Yeah. I think this is like another one of those cases of I was gonna say what seemed like them not having enough time. Like have time. It's like I've been seeing these videos about like the background of Lord of the Rings again, and they've been like more videos about like how we had years to prepare for everything, and that will never happen again, and that's why it was so good. And we don't have time.
Even Peter Jackson couldn't remake the Lord of the Rings with the Hobbit trilogy.
Yep. He also didn't have all that blessed lead time that can change everything.
I hated the Hobbits until I saw a behind the scenes movie where they showed Peter Jackson just like, and they showed them like we're filming fighting B-roll, and Peter Jackson's just like, I don't have enough time. He was just like completely defeated during lunch breaks, just desperately trying to like put shit together, and you felt so bad for him.
Yeah, I was like, I was a ginormous fan of those movies. I watched all the extended and like all the extras. Then I listened to at least 2 or 3 different audio tracks for commentary for those movies. And I do remember throughout all of them, there was like this constant Peter Jackson just like, oh my god, I will never do this in my life ever fucking again. Only once am I doing this. I'm so happy, but oh my fucking god, never again do I want to do this ever again. And then all the way leading up to the Hobbit, he's like, by the way, fuck doing this again, everybody. Don't expect me to do it. We got a good man here, Del Toro. He's going to take care of it. Oh, fuck. Del Toro fell through. Oh, shit. I have to do this again.
I need once more into the breach. Yeah.
Yes. It sounds like you saw that he was suffering.
Maybe I'll find the clip and I'll see if I can find it, send it to you. It was really eye-opening, and it made me a little bit more sympathetic because I was not a huge fan of the Hobbit movies.
But wait. What was your feelings and thoughts about that Matrix madness?
I despise. Yeah, you're right. We're getting so I hated it. I thought it was terrible. I thought that they were trying to like write her way out. Like, I guess what it made, like there are a lot of ways you could have tackled the Matrix sequel. The only times I really liked it when it felt like a genuine. It was funny. My favorite canceled former writer filmmaker Max Landis. pointed this out, that like sequels are satisfying when they have narrative progression. So as stupid as it was to have like, oh, here's the glowy light moth, and here's a million ants ball Morpheus in the real world. As dumb as those things were, they at least felt like interesting narrative progression in terms of like, oh, the machine separated into two factions, and then they fought each other. And I was like, ooh, this is interesting. I like this 5 second of the machine civil war. I want more of this. Ooh, this is exactly. And then there's a new city. So I kind of enjoyed that, but it was under just too much crap. I hated the fact that it was like all around, oh, we gotta find Trinity again, and it's this great big unrequited love story. It's like, one of the interesting things is like a lot of people have argued that the Matrix is a trans allegory, and I'm of the opinion that like I don't think it is. You could read trans things into it, and they've even said that we weren't really going through our transition when we made the Matrix yet. So it's
although like retroactively they're starting to say that it was.
Yeah, there's a little bit where people are like, yeah. I feel like if you wanted to make that trans allegory story, that you could have done that, and I'm sure you would have like gotten a lot of praise and a lot of good press from that. So I'm not quite sure like why they wanted to do this great love story for people who supposedly hated each other on set. Why Trinity and Neo was the entry point, but like
real quick, I just want to say like so the trans allegory thing I think is. So a great story is universal. It's for everybody. So that like the trans allegory thing is, I think this is a experience. There's a baseline experience that all humans experience, and therefore that's why like so many people fall in love with it. Because for myself, like my life experience was growing up and not being like how a black person is supposed to be, and holy shit, that was a nightmare to try and navigate as a kid. But then like eventually I found like a couple heroes that really like nailed in like, no, it's okay, be who you are and don't worry about what the system tells you you're supposed to be. So like when Neo says my name is Neo, like every human felt that. We're like, hey, fuck that, I am who I am. So that trans, black, everybody. So as a great story, everybody should feel it.
It's like a really broad hero analogy of like finding yourself. It's kind of like a more broader universal story, which is why it was so successful and like one of the definitive movies of the 90s, early 2000s.
Then it seems like people are trying to take that away by saying, no, it's a trans allegory, and we will only talk about that. And like it's such a limiting way of thinking about like how a person can be. And
I mean there's stuff there, but I don't think it was the main focus. I think it was like kind of a broader by that hero. Same argument you could say like, oh, is Spider-Man transitioning to spider powers a trans allegory?
Yes. It's a great hero tale.
Yeah, it's a great hero. You can say that about any sort of hero tale or dual identity, whatchamacallit. But like, I guess if you leaned into that angle for a Matrix sequel, you could have done that. That would have been a better choice. But just a lot of like terrible decisions. And then that end where it's like Neil Patrick Harris, like, he had the smarm, but he never felt threatening. And the idea to like try and be like, oh, bullet time. Well, I've got a new super bullet time, and here's swarming. And
they're just. Yeah, like, hey, bullet time is a movie term, sir, not a in-universe term. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, it was like, very.
When I start seeing like how much people don't care about a product, that's when I start getting mad. Because like all the fucking up that Boba Fett did, they did care. They didn't do it because they're trying to make a comment on like how much they don't want to make a Boba Fett show. They just, came up short because, bad creative choices and whatnot. But
yeah, like I guess it was also off-putting the trying to write yourself a get out of free jail card And I think I would have accepted it. I would have been a lot more if they didn't have the Jonathan. It was funny. I remember when I saw it, I was watching it with my gay brother, and he's like, "Oh my God, the gays are going to love this. Jonathan Graham, we love the gays. He was in Looking. Oh, Neil Patrick Harris, they're fighting. Oh, this is amazing." And maybe it was for the queer community, but I would have rather had, Hugo Weaving to be...
Wait, did your brother like it?
No.
Okay.
No. He despised it just as much as I did. We were
because
watching
like sometimes I wonder if things like there are certain pandering things that happen, but it can still end up making a genuine experience for someone that like they get to see it differently, and therefore maybe it's good to some people.
To him, it was just like fun drag race gay pandering, but not much else. It didn't make the movie. It didn't make it a good movie.
Yeah. Like have you podcasted with my friend Sabrina yet?
I don't think so. Not yet. No.
She said a great quote a while ago, which was, "There's no substitute for genuinely giving a shit."
Yeah.
That was that comes down to like
you did tell me that quote though.
Yeah, like hey, if we force you into making another Matrix movie, will you genuinely give a shit? No. But like, yeah, that's why I wanted to, like, I wanted them to go on without the Wachowskis. Or yeah, I think I did, but that doesn't always end up being good because like I thought that we didn't need George Lucas, and
then you learn
this is what happened. Oh yeah.
Well, it's like I feel like someone else might have been able to do interesting things because, like, for me, I would have loved to have seen like an Inception level set piece where you have like something is going on in the Matrix that's also affecting like the sci-fi shit in the real world, and there are like multiple levels. That would have been a cool action sequence. I keep on thinking
that's where they're going to go every movie ever since the first one, but they keep not doing that.
Yeah, it's super disappointing, and it's a universe I still like and would love to see things with, but I made that video talking about like soft reboots are the coward's way out, and to their credit, it wasn't 100% a soft reboot. There was narrative continuation, so I guess on that level, I appreciated it, but I think oh man, check her out, she's a total MILF. What was the Matrix? WTF? Oh,
so not good. Yeah. With sequels, like I want to see what happens next in this insane new reconfigured world. But what I keep I think like Mahler said something like this, where in between the sequels and the original trilogy, it sounds like a genuinely great story happened, which is the same for the Matrix. In between that and that, a genuinely great story seemed to have happened that a lot of us wanted to see, but instead they say that there's like a middle awesome thing that happened. Now we just redo the first movie. Like, no.
Oh, and I despised like all those like times where they like would play the clips from the movie.
Ugh. That was sad.
It was like, and it did it in a way that was like trying to like, ooh, isn't this smart? Like there was one review that I really despised from IndieWire was like, "This is the most radical sequel since The Last Jedi."
Oh, Jesus.
And it's like, no, this is not a deconstruction. This is just like an apology card. I'm making fun of myself, but I'm also going to try and tell a sincere story. And it was just the worst level of satire. Like, I don't think the Wachowskis can do comedy. I don't think it's in their DNA.
No, yeah. I don't remember too many good laughs ever from them. Speed Racer maybe had a couple moments that made me smile. Have you seen Speed Racer?
I have seen Speed Racer.
Okay.
I know Speed Racer has this like weird cult following where people. I was not a fan. Maybe I need to revisit it, but I will say Speed Racer, had cute moments, but it was incredibly earnest, which is kind of like gained this weird cult following amongst cineastas.
It's top 5 like all time for me. It has sometimes taking the number 1 spot. So like when I first saw it, I went there to hate watch it. Like I had like my hater boots and pants on. Like I glared at the ugly poster, and like I was like one of the only people in the theater to sit down in that theater. It was IMAX. I was like, all right, let me see the grand failure of the Wachowskis. And then like by the time it was over, I was speechless. It was so fucking amazing to me. I sat down through the whole entire credits and I was like, oh my God. And then like the third time I saw it, I cried. Yeah, I love that movie so much. And I think I'm bringing it up just because we're talking about the Wachowskis.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing to bring up because it speaks to, I guess, maybe their strengths was just ultra sincerity and not condescending satire.
Hmm.
When they're doing like satire, it feels like bad Rick and Morty fan fiction.
Like, yeah, like just ask these creators, do you really want to come back? If they don't,
I guess
just
she
let
needed
it
a
go.
payday because, like, the Wachowskis have not had a win in a long time.
Yeah, which is a shame because I think they're an important creative powerhouse. Like, I actually loved Jupiter Ascending.
I know some people like that. It's like is becoming like this camp classic in a way.
Good. I would love to talk about that movie. I know it's a goddamn mess, but I clapped at the end of that. It was such a all out bizarre crazy sci-fi fest. I had so much fun. What else have you been geeking on? What's been taking up your geek
Well,
time?
do you want to
No,
finish the
what's up?
trilogy of failure? Or
Oh, yes, I do.
and
Trilogy
then
of Failure,
maybe
please.
we'll get into positive things. So now that we've the next to the trilogy of failure is Picard.
Oof. So
So
with that,
how's that Picard? I am loving the Red Letter media coverage. I hope that they don't stop
yes, it's worth watching Picard for the Red Letter media coverage. So I have this theory that the people who make those shows have been listening to these podcasts that I've been making with another Star Trek podcast.
it. Well, how do you think
There's
they
like,
addressed your complaints? Because to me, it just seems that they doubled down in the worst way possible.
well, that's fun. That's what's funny. Like the first episode, the way it starts, it sounded like they were like, "We heard your complaints, all of them, Keith and Red Letter Media, and we're addressing all of it." Like they start off, they're all in. There's just lots of Starfleet uniforms everywhere. We're on a Starfleet ship vessel that is beautiful. It's the Stargazer. Like, oh wow, and like the set was beautiful. And then bam, now we're on present day Earth. Haha, got you again. Like, oh no, oh god, no. And yeah, they started off like doing everything I asked for, and then went quadrupled down into like we have to save Picard's Mary Sue ancestor.
Great ancestor, and like it perplexes me how you could have like Star Trek was always basically space commies. It was always kind of left leaning, and how you can like fuck that up so tremendously by just having this like condescending, preachy storylines. Oh wow, 2024. There's no hellhole worse than this. Oh, Trump's gonna take over. It's like, oh my god. And then everyone's like, like kind of degrading Picard, and it's like then there are like all these terrible sub Star Wars action storylines in it, and I love how they
Wait. What do you mean like that? What do you mean by sub Star Wars action stories?
Like I've yet to see Picard, and one of these days I might just sit through a hate watch. Just because
you haven't watched it.
I've my experience is solely through the Red Letter media, which I love.
And just seeing it is so much fun to hate watch. There's a version of enjoying it that I have that's so bad that the Discovery got so bad I can't watch it anymore. Picard is so bad that it's fun to watch. Like to me, I was telling my buddy Max, like Picard is the fuck up of the Star Trek. And if there are people listening to my podcast that do the show, please don't take any of this personal. I am always saying, all I'm doing is saying like how I feel about my reaction to art, which is never meant to like hate on anybody, but like we consider like you got like the gold standard of TNG, you got like the highest mark of DS9, and then you got the fuck up that is Picard that just does whatever it wants. It copies Mass Effect. It doesn't
even do a good job. It just feels like imitation Star Wars, like edgy Star Wars. Oh yeah, 7 of 9's gonna shoot people and have a random massacre, and oh, there's a fucking Romulan ninja, and then there are psychic space plants. But hey, Riker came to save the day for some reason, and we played the nostalgic music you like.
We like I keep on saying, like we are seeing action Patrick Stewart. Yeah, like that's the biggest problem with the show is that what you're seeing is not Jean-Luc Picard. You're seeing adventure Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart would be Han Solo.
That is the worst idea. They did that with like the later TNG movies, and they were mediocre. Like here's a really hard question for you, Keith. Mm-hmm. What do you like better, Star Wars or Star Trek in the totality?
Yeah, I've thought about this question my entire life. And in totality, I'll say Star Wars.
That's maybe a reasonable take, and I think Star Wars at its heart is more fun.
More versatile.
More versatile, but I do think, like, pound for pound, there have been better, more meaningful written Star Wars stories than there have been Star Trek stories. I mean, there's been better Star Trek stories than there have been Star Wars stories.
Yes, okay, that I can agree. Like, there's been far more good Star Trek content than Star Wars, I think.
Like even like the Trek series of like Voyager and Enterprise, even they have like these great little ethical dilemmas, and that's always the best like moment of Star Trek, where you have this like big solution, like, oh, we found this species and there's these two races that share the same planet, and this race is dying out, and maybe this race is going to inherit it. What should we do? Is it our right to stop this species from inheriting its natural evolutionary destiny, or should we like indirectly be participated in genocide? And like those are like that's Star Trek. That's the best. Jean-Luc having like a really great Shakespearean debate. That's when Star Trek is at its best. Star Trek
sticks with you forever. It makes you think about stuff throughout your entire life. That there's like if there's ever a drinking game around the podcast I do, drink every time Keith brings up the Star Trek episode that ended his homophobia. Like, have I told you about that?
I think you refresh me. I think I've heard the story, but give me a refresher.
Real quick, it's like the episode where they go to the asexual planet and Riker falls in love with one of them.
Yeah, I think I remember that episode.
Yeah,
they were like a parasite.
Yep. No. They're an asexual race of people. Mm-hmm. Where they're neither male or female, and neither have a preference for male or female. But then, like, Riker shows up, and like one of them does have a preference for male or female, has a preference for male, and therefore that's like the gay allegory, where this one person is an aberration, and then she gets caught, and then she gets kind of like she goes through like a process, and they make her asexual again, and they quote unquote fix her. And like, but she gave a speech that like said like, "Who are you to tell me how I love?" And then in that moment in my life, I suddenly went from being against gay folk to going, "Oh my god, I'm the bad guy this entire time." Oh my god! And like, it just like all these doors just like opened. And I was like, "Holy shit, that was good!" Like, but if they had done like the straight, just saying like, "And you should be okay with gay people," like. That's not gonna make me think.
That's another big difference between like the Discovery / the new era of Trek and Picard versus like old Trek. Old Trek was not afraid to like not give you the agreed upon liberal right answer.
Right answer.
Yeah, the exact right answer. The person who's the designated Nazi doesn't always have to get punched or get their comeuppance, and sometimes it deals in that moral murky gray thing versus the Yas Queen moment, and that's what made Star Trek great.
Yeah, it used to teach, and it did it well, and now like they throw on the screen. By the way, ICE is cartoonishly evil with only like one-dimensional racists running it. Okay. Yeah, that's all we're saying. Like, and we're out. We're gonna go AI. Guys, what are you doing? Like, you're on national television, getting paid millions of dollars. Do you remember what Star Trek is?
It's so weird because like there's so much money going into it, and like I've seen articles on like left-leaning sites like Polygon and Kotaku, who the exact kind of audience who's supposed to love this shit, and even they don't like it. So I have no idea like where are the Discovery stands. Is it just like this keep on thing that they just keep on financing because Alex Kurtzman has made so much money on Transformers movies? I've been trying to figure this one out actually, because like by all accounts of how Entertainment Once ended up, like
Discovery and Picard should not be continuing to get new seasons. But I there's like this new YouTuber guy, he's an older dude.
Oh yeah, I've seen you linking his stuff, and I've been watching a lot of that. Former network executive guy.
Yep,
he's good. I like him a lot.
Yeah, he answered my question about like, so if they're doing so bad, how do they keep getting seasons? And he said, I don't know. Like something changed where how companies now, because they get so much money, like Amazon gets so much money and the subscription money, that they don't have to care about ratings. Yeah, if that's the case, then how do things get canceled?
Yeah, to a degree, but they still have data and things still get fucking canceled. I mean, it's a lot easier to hide a failure, and maybe it's just the perception of it, because that is the weird thing about the streaming wars, because like, oh god, there's such an interesting thing with like Netflix is now taking a huge hit. I lost a lot of fucking money on Netflix right now. You know, some people say like, oh wow, it's because Netflix got woke, and you know, I don't think that's entirely the case. But I do think that like Netflix has reached a saturation point where they've lost a lot of their the older stuff that they used to. Now it's been, you know, with our powers combined, now streaming is cable.
Yeah, besides Cobra Kai, there's no need for me to have it.
I mean, they're scattered around, but here's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see the death of the binge model of releasing soon. I think it was. I mean, I'm not against binge viewing, but I think I'm
against it, but I can't see it going away because it seems like that's like a basic.
Well,
they tapped into a basic human thing that makes them money.
It's never going to go away in the sense that like people aren't going to stop. But I think we are going to see a return to weekly releases.
All right. That I'm totally okay with. And you think has Netflix ever given into that whatsoever?
They have for a few of their reality shows. They've done weekly releases, and a few of their animes they've done weekly releases. And they've done staggered things, where they divide things into parts. I think they're doing that with Stranger Things. But I think it was from a just from a strategy point of view, I think it was one of the worst decisions they ever made. They got away with it because they were the purveyors of it. And on purpose, it sounds great. But like basically you put like $200 million into this stupid thing, and the conversation is over in a weekend.
Exactly. That's been my biggest problem with it. Like Cobra Kai, every episode is so fucking good. But like there's no chance for anyone to talk about a single episode ever. Like it's over by time people, because like people like just watch the entire thing, then don't really talk about it.
Yeah, then it's over. Then like nothing is like so good that it like stays in the cultural consciousness for more than like 2 or 3 weeks, and then it just becomes like another thing at the buffet dish. It just becomes expendable. It doesn't like, become
once a week with Cobra Kai. You'd have so much to talk about with like what happens and people changing like allegiances and progress and like even just digging into each fight. There's so much, but like I hope you're right about them getting rid of the binge model, but like the binge model seems like it seems like it makes money, I think.
I think like you're gonna see people like I think it's gotten to the point where like Amazon or Prime is now rolling out the series, or they'll put out like 2 or 3 episodes to premiere and then they'll roll them out. HBO Max is doing that more often with their big series, and I just think as a promotion strategy, it's better because like originally the media landscape would work like this: you'd have the theatrical release, and then you'd get like a second wind on digital. Once it released on VHS or DVD, and that was how like movies that didn't do well in theaters could have a second wind, or in some cases even find new audiences. Like if you remember Austin Powers, which was not a success in theaters but became a big phenomenon thanks to home video.
That I don't think I know at all.
Yeah,
you positive on that one?
100%. Here,
okay,
let me pull it up.
I do believe you because that sounds so absurd. It has to be true because in my memory, my memory makes it feel like that first movie hit like a nuke and everyone was talking about it. But now I'm not sure. Because did I see it in theater, actually?
You might not have. Wait, that's the whole... All right, yeah. Austin Powers, Man of International Mystery, cost $16 million and it made $67 million.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yeah, so not terrible for like a comedy in the '90s, but like not great.
Yeah.
Not while Austin Powers 2 made nearly 300 million.
There you go. Okay.
You could see that.
Interesting.
Austin Powers 2 made nearly 300 million, and then 3 made 300 million, and then I want to get the second one. I know that was like the biggest success. That made 300 million was for the second one, so they both did much better. But like versus streaming, you just have your launch date. And I guess you hope you have enough buzz and keep those subscribers coming, and then then it's gone, and then it's maybe there's a fandom, maybe you sell ancillary merchandise, maybe you sell Funko Pops, but it's not as much of a windfall as like a TV series on syndication. So I guess here's my prediction of what I think is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think what's going to go on is. I think series, eventually all the streaming services are going to offer a free version supported with ads. And what they'll do is they'll have like basically like several live streams running, which will basically function like TV channels. Because I think people miss the idea of like not having to scroll through a menu or spend like a minute typing in through their shitty remotes or console controllers the title of what they want to watch. I think there's a novelty of like old-fashioned cable of just like turning on Comedy Central and just having your stupid background noise. And I'd probably watch a lot more Netflix's stupid reality shows if they just had them on like a 24-hour stream that basically functioned as a TV channel with commercials. It's funny how like the old technology is like going back to what we had before.
My biggest thing of missing what we had before is like everybody being on the same page and everybody talking like the Game of Thrones, like everybody's talking about that latest episode, holy shit, versus LOL, I just watched it in one day, and that's like what people have to say about the show.
Yeah, I do also feel like somehow it also like made the production of the content worse in a way. Like I feel like Netflix shows are like, except for like the higher tier of them, are like structured where like a lot of money is front loaded in the first episode with a cool action sequence. Then there's a lot of boring talking, which is like subpar writing, and a lot of bottle scenes. And then there's like another big action or someone gets shot, and then to keep you into the next episode. And then it's just back to being dull and kind of mediocre. And I feel like a lot of them are like almost built to like let you browse on Twitter on your phone or whatever your social media of choice is while not paying attention.
Let's see. So, are we done with the trilogy of failure?
Okay. All right, we're almost done. You're right. We're going on to so many goddamn different tangents.
Yes.
And Pircard is an interesting disaster.
From the small feedback that I do get from like friends that listen to our podcast, this is their favorite part where we just randomly shoot the shit about geek stuff.
I'm glad to hear it. But like, so do you have any final thoughts about Pircard? I don't have much to add. Just that I think it's hilarious that they're like doing all the wrong choices and they can't like have a good Star Trek storyline. And it was funny, like the dumb like things that they pitch in Red Letter Media sound like better Pircard storylines. Yes. Of like, they're kind of playful, but they're fun and like, remembering why we like these characters, and then they have a laugh.
They because they genuinely give a shit, but like, Picard's a special kind of derp, that I enjoy, cause like, there's, a thing that I noticed with Pircard and like some other stuff was that, the worse something is, the more there is to talk about. And
that is true.
Yeah, and then like all of a sudden, like the worst something is you start noticing why you love a thing, which can be fun, and you explore more of why you love something versus just enjoying something. Because like we went through like the Star Trek movies. Each time like the movie was not that good, we had so much fun and had a long conversation. Every time a movie like freaking nailed everything, our podcast would last like 40 minutes, and we were just like, yeah, that was good too. Yeah, that was good too. So Pircard is fun because it's minute to minute of like horrible writing that reminds you that no, good writing does exist and this is not it. And it just, like the absence of it really just keeps slamming home why you love something. So it's kind of fun to hate watch it.
Yeah,
versus like.
At least there's a shit ton of Pircard. You can't say that you haven't gotten a lot of deep, the next generation to appreciate.
Yeah. You have any other thoughts about your entire feelings about the entire trilogy of failure that's been going on lately?
So, are we ready for the final thing of my trilogy of failure?
What?
That is the Halo show.
Oh boy, I'm embracing myself for this.
I despise the Halo show. I know it's the silver line. What were you say?
Oh well, yeah. I think you're about to get to it. Like, how does I'm not because like I after living through Star Wars, it's really hard to phase me. Like I saw Hobo Luke Skywalker get shit on and not be able to do anything, and nothing makes sense whatsoever. So now that I'm seeing this, I'm not seeing them shit on anything. Like it's just like a network television remix.
Well,
so why despise?
As someone who likes Star Wars or whatchamacallit, God damn it,
and I'm a Halo fan.
Yeah. So you? Yeah, I was gonna ask. Are you a Halo fan?
Yes.
So you played the games. Is there someone who pretends to be a Microsoft supporter? So I was kind of curious about your familiarity with the Halo series.
The Halo series, I love it, but mainly for the stories that seem to emerge between me and my friends of like trying to save each other and trying to make ourselves ways to the battle versus the lore, which I just watch on YouTube, which I also enjoy. So,
but it sounds like you've played through most of the campaigns, though, right?
All of them, yeah. It's like an event every time it comes out, and if there's co-op,
yeah,
this is the first time they didn't do that.
3, 4, no, Halo 5 didn't have co-op either. Technically, it didn't. Or at least,
at first.
Well, they didn't have split screen co-op. I should clarify,
okay.
Which to me is like the best way the Halo co-op should be played. There was.
That's how we started, but like online co-op. Me and my friends set aside dates to go through every campaign, and yeah, I'm a longtime fan, so I am okay.
This is going to be an interesting discussion. This is going to be a really interesting discussion. Because I'm a long-time Halo fan. I have a lot of affection for the universe. I think 343 has kind of fucked it up, but I still like the universe enough that I'll play just about any major Halo game. It's always an event because they don't span them out as much as Call of Duty's. And I think the special thing that Bungie was able to infuse in those campaigns was a great sense of melancholy and sadness.
Yes.
That's what made the Master Chief stand up from other UNSC or other Space Marines. Is that sure the Master Chief is indestructible? Sure, he's got a hot girlfriend waifu in his head. But no matter how much you win, you always lose the greater fight. And I think the best example is on the original Halo. It's like, all right, we're up against the wall. Our ship crash landed, but thanks to the bravery of Captain Keyes, we're going to do what we can. We're going to find the secrets of this Halo. We're going to keep it out of the hands of the Covenant so they don't annihilate all humanity. But little by little, you lose Keyes. You lose the faux hammer, the Aretha Franklin sounding dropship who's like carrying you around on all your missions. All the humans you were fighting alongside get infected by the flood. The Master Chief saves the universe. He destroys the Halo, stopping the annihilation of life in the galaxy. He stops the flood from the infection. He saves it from there. But at the end of the day, the Covenant's still out there. Earth is still threatened. So he may have won the day, but he didn't win the war. Halo 2 also has that great sense of melancholy and despair that like you're fighting to save Earth, but you're not winning the battles. And then Halo 3, Master Chief makes the ultimate sacrifice. He saves the universe. I love that moment in Halo 3 where you team up with elites. I got that feeling of like childhood joy of like when Cobra and when G.I. Joe teamed up to fight the drug dealers.
Yes, that was dope.
The guys, the elites, my nemesis, they're joining forces. It's hard to like get that like giddy sense of childhood nostalgia that like we're gonna team up against the bad guys to the other bad guy. Yay! I love it. I'm so happy.
And are you saying that you wanted to get that feeling from a TV show?
No, I just wanted a fucking competent military sci-fi shooter to be made because like every choice they've made is fucking terrible.
Such as
the Covenant does not feel like this omnipotent, unstoppable threat of technology. They just feel like something that the UNSC is handling in the background. And this is like one of the things I despise. It's not necessarily lore inaccurate, but like the depiction of the UNSC is this evil, fascist, horrible organization. Like the idea about the UNSC and the military is that like there are unsavory elements, but overall they're fighting. They're trying to do the best they can. They're basically forced with terrible choices. So always with Sophie choices. Like, do you let this glass planet get glass so you can save 3 others? Do you blow up your ship so the Covenant don't learn the location of Earth? This is like a desperate, horrible fight where humanity is technologically outmatched, outgunned. They don't stand a chance. They can't negotiate with these aliens that are on this weird religious crusade. It's a great way to have your Islamic fantasy without offending anyone, which is I always thought was genius, to like have this like 9/11 allegory without actually being like racist or Islamophobic. You get to have all that Call of Duty fantasy, but it doesn't even set it up that. It like opens up where it's like, oh, here's this insurgent town, and they're the real good guys, and the UNSC are the fascists, and the Spartans are the tool of the fascists. And like in the lore, the Spartans weren't originally like built to be the destroyers of the Covenant. They were built to stop insurrectionists, and the insurrectionists were like nuclear bombing space colonies and killing millions of people. These were not the good guys, but you can kind of tell that the political lines is like, these are the rebels. These are the underdog rebels, and it's like it's just so stupid. It's like, yeah, fuck the UNSC. Even when the little Mandalorian girl who feels like she's supposed to be the baby Yoda sees her father get bisected by an alien, and she's still like, fuck the UNSC. I hate the fact that they gave a storyline where it's like, oh, Master Chief, you have to kill her, but for reasons that we're not going to tell you because the UNSC is kind of evil. And like, the appeal of Halo is a band of brothers fantasy. The idea that you're in the foxhole with your buddy, you're building these stories. You're gonna make the noble sacrifice. And that's what the game's captured. And the idea that like the Spartans are evil. Like even in the books, they gave the sense that the Spartans, like, they made a very special distinction. I need to double check, but I'm 100% sure. They did some shady shit. They did do the flash cloning and kidnapping them as kids. But, like, when they brought them in, they basically said, you were specifically selected to basically be a superhero. They basically, like, framed it as, like, hey, bitch, you want to come to Hogwarts?
Huh.
And all the kids, like, said, hell yeah, I want to be fucking the Hogwarts and the savior of humanity, versus, like, the more conflicted, we are emotionless soldiers of war. Master Chief has to get his emotion pill out so he can connect with his humanity as he goes and sees music.
I gotta ask, okay, so do you think that there's a way with the budget and time constraints and the audience they're playing for that they could do a good Halo?
Yes. And okay. I mean, on one sense, you're kind of right. Like, they do have constraints, but I'll just say Battlestar Galactica, the Battlestar Galactica remake, is the exact tone Halo needed.
That's what they're trying to go for, but like also like how many episodes this season?
They're not succeeding. They are not succeeding.
How many episodes this season?
I think there's 9 episodes this season.
Okay, so like what we're like, this is what I gear shift down to. Like, I fully get what you're saying, and I would love to have that good of a Halo show. But what I'm seeing is like, they're doing this for a network audience. I'm guessing mostly female, and they want to make sure they're getting as many people as possible. So we have to have like not just our main character of Master Chief. We do need young girl characters so that the young female audience can get into it. Then they have to they're trying to hit every demographic they can, and they have 9 episodes to do it, and therefore you have to hit certain lulls and heights and character interaction that don't just appeal to sci-fi Halo fans, and they therefore like if we're gear shifting into that, and we only have 9 episodes, this is why I can understand rushing and pushing stuff like Evil UNSC, which for me, I am actually kind of reading it as them being that thing that you have to become if you're going to deal with a really hard problem, which is
I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing people making like hard choices. I'm just seeing they're the evil, bad government fascists who stole kids and turned them into super soldiers, and they're bad. And the ones we should really like are the outliers and the pirates and the swag Spartan Soren. Here's another funny story. My brother came because he came for like the Jewish holiday of Passover, and I was like, oh my god, we got to watch this. We got to watch this. I've seen clips. This is supposed to be terrible. So we sat down to watch the Halo series. We have a lot of affection of playing the campaign solo together. And there were multiple times where we just paused it because we spent 5 minutes deep guttural laughing like hyenas.
Awesome.
We were laughing so hard. And one of the big scenes was like, we were laughing when they go on the Star Wars space pirate meteorite.
Oh.
And we were laughing really fucking hard. Like, this is not Halo. Because it was just so, like, pulpy, and it wasn't, like, kind of grounded military sci-fi, and it was just kind of ludicrous. And then when we really started laughing was when, like, you know, the swag Spartan comes in. He's still wearing his fucking armor. And he takes them to their little fucking moon pimp pad where it's like, hey, I've got a kid. And then the wife comes out, and she looks like she walked from the set of the Hunger Games, and then they sit around and smoke space weed.
I'm sorry. I'm okay with it. Oh, okay. I'm okay with it because to like it's just this is what they're doing. This is so like I would be more upset if like this took place in between games or was a continuation of the games. If you're like if they're doing if they think they're doing G tier, George Lucas tier. Then I would be with you guys. Like, no, what the shit's going on here? But like now it's
the silver timeline was the smartest thing they could have done. And my guess is what I think they're doing is they're basically doing before Fall of Reach, and the idea is that in this MacGuffin hunt. And my guess is at the end of the season they're gonna like slip space warp to Halo, and then the next season is gonna take place on Halo. That's what I feel like they're doing, and then you know.
Do we know for sure it's getting a second season?
Yeah. It's like one of those things where it was so fucking expensive that it was already greenlit before it premiered that there was a second season. I don't think it deserves one. And like, okay, I can justify this, you know, as a writer person. Like, I agree to like, oh, some things you have to change. You can't be quite like the lore nerd. But like, are any normies like liking this? Like, the acting is not good. I'm not seeing anyone who's like, oh, you know. I always have this fantasy of like the middle American viewer, the guy who's got like, you know, maybe a $50K job, mortgage on a house. He goes in there with a beer. He's got his little kids. He's not the most sophisticated consumer, not the nerdiest guy, but you know, he likes his little fantasy television, and he pops open a beer. Is that guy who's maybe like, you know, doesn't give a shit about video games? Is like Halo getting? Is he like?
That sounds like exactly who this would be awesome to. This person who is not familiar with it, but they sit down with their beer and, oh shit, who's this fucking guy? Wow, he's awesome.
Like, I cannot imagine any person who doesn't like the games. Like it's just like it's got that cowboy like. All right, so here's the painful thing. Did you see the most recent episode 5?
No, I'm on episode 3.
Episode 5 actually has the best action sequence thus far in the series. It's really good. It's kind of gritty. It's got that like heightened tone, but like the action sequence in episode 1 just felt clunky. It just felt like the Cowboy Bebop. It was missing that extra oomph to like make me think that these were like super soldiers and not guys in cosplayers. It just felt like.
Okay, so as I say, like the Cowboy Bebop comparison, because I couldn't get past the first episode. It was just really...
you were like a really I thought you were a big defender
of Cowboy Bebop, the live action.
Yeah,
No, I went into it holding my nose because I was like, I can tell this is not, and then like I couldn't get past the first episode. So like there, okay, my main thing is like, how much can I tell that they cared or didn't care? And Cowboy Bebop, I saw, yeah, it's like with Star Trek, where the people who doing the set dressing, costumes, and all the effects, I can see they care, but the people writing it and writing Picard, it's more about themselves than it is about trying to do a story. So I feel like they're not caring. Versus Halo, where I feel that like every shot, I feel like they are trying, like within their constraints. I see them not dismissing Halo fans, but they're trying to appeal to you.
Well, did you ever hear that famous quote from the showrunners that
yes.
we didn't even
I hear it was out of context. Where like, because that was a juicy quote almost, to the point where I was almost like, really? Okay. But like apparently what the person was like, we didn't play the games, but like, yes, we all were all in on the lore, and they did their homework. They
definitely, there's like a lot of like call outs that just used in the worst way possible. And I think that what makes it really frustrating is that like, they got this, like the smartest thing would have been to not have the Master Chief be like the main focus or the main character, like, or like play it like the Mandalorian and never have him take his helmet and have Steve Downes do the voice. I think that would say
having him not be the main character, there will be blood in the streets, and I would join them. Like, that's going too far. That is very freaking punkin' Luke Skywalker type action. But
I think you could have it like, or like just have like characters who are around him, still have him be like a big focus, but like it's more about the technicians who are supporting him or the people who are fighting alongside him. But I also like think having him take off his goddamn helmet, and I also think the guy they got to play him is not a great actor. And the Mandalorian showed you can have a guy keep his helmet on for 90% of the time, and people can still connect with it. Like the fact that you took the kind of like quasi woke message that like, yeah, let's have the punk rebel girl team up with the Master Chief, and they were too lazy to even like follow up with that. Now she's stuck in her own side plot.
I was just about to say that the version of what this type of team can do, of like having there be another character and like the Master Chief not be the main character, would be Quan as the main character and Master Chief as her bodyguard, and no one wants to see that.
No one wants to see that, and it feels like there's several different. It was also funny when they introduced Dr. Halsey, and me and my brother laughed. He said, "Did they yassify Halsey?"
Yassify?
It's like a term. No, like yes.
Like Yes Queen?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Here, I'll see if I can find an example.
Okay, yeah. I might not be familiar with it because I don't think she's a Yes Queen as much as she's a girl boss.
For Halsey? Well, just how she looked. Here, I'm going to send you to give you an idea of like what it looks like. The Yassify filter.
Because I'm actually scared of every episode I watch of Halo to. Like I'm expecting them to like stab me, do a Last Jedi stab in the eye eventually.
I'm amazed that but like you have a higher tolerance, and I guess there's a campy quality. But I hate everything I see. I guess you didn't get to episode 4.
I won't say I love it. It's far from love. I'm far from in love. Like what I'm seeing on the screen seems like what I'm seeing is like, hey guys, we're trying really hard for you fans, and then they're like always coming up way short because it's like. What they got going on.
And one of my, like, the things that, like, really makes my blood boil. Yeah, what do you think of the Blessed One?
I don't think... Oh, is that the woman girl who's...
The girl Covenant.
That is leaning into, like, what feels pop wokish. But, also for her, hey, Keith. Like you're okay with it when I gave they did in Battlestar Galactica exactly.
Yeah,
and like there's a reason for it, and I understand it. Therefore, like I'm always 50-50 rubbing my chin when I see her on the screen. I'm like, okay, I know why you're doing this, and like, what else are they going to do? Like, if you're going to have a bad guy and you want to give them screen time and you don't want to, break the bank every single time you do it.
I think you could have found a creative solution, and the fact that they had the Prophets, and the Prophets actually look pretty good, and the Prophets are my favorite fucking villain in Halo. It's just lame. She's like not a good actress. It's just so stupid. It like gets rid of all of the appeal of the Covenant, that there's just a human who's allowed to pal around with them.
Yes.
She's not a compelling character.
Pal around with them and even like scold them.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate that. The cool thing about the Covenant that like makes them work is that they just want to kill humanity. They don't care. They have no mercy. They're bigger than us. They're more technologically advanced. They are in this crusade that we will not understand. They will not tell us. We cannot negotiate with them. That is terrifying. The fact that they have these ridiculous ships that can like plow through any of the UNSC stuff. The fact that like on average, in any naval conflict, it's like it takes 5 ships to take down one of UNSC ships to take down one Covenant. The fact that they're this they didn't even explain that. They didn't even explain the fact that the Covenant is like this multiracial group of aliens conglomerates who are under this religious thing. Like you couldn't even give that in a piece of exposition. You just have this fucking Daenerys Targaryen ripoff.
Oh, yep. They definitely went for that. She's very much a Daenerys.
And like you like, oh my god, you could like the prophet of like mercy, or I forget. I think it's the prophet of truth. I loved his voice in Halo 2. He had like the perfect insidious evil pope voice, and everyone loves to rally, punch religion. What better way to punch religion than have evil space popes who ride around in little hover chairs and have them be like these insidious? Yes, we will have the Halos. Ooh, but and you can have like there's drama from the books about their society. That's super interesting.
Are we going to be able to? So, but 9 episodes, and for a mass audience, I just don't think.
I think you could have the Space Popes as the fun villains. I think you could have the Arbiter. And here's another thing that also pisses me off. What do you think about the race change of Captain Keyes?
He's still black.
No. Captain Keyes is a white guy. I'm going to give you a. So Captain Keyes is in the first
Who's
Halo.
The guy I'm thinking of? The Apone character. I thought he was
yes.
the Apone character.
He's not Sergeant Johnson.
Oh yeah, that's exactly. Okay.
There's no Sergeant Johnson.
Oh, huh.
You want a more diverse cast. You want to give a nice, meaty black guy. There's one who's right there for the picking that everyone loves.
Yeah. So
you could have had him. Everyone loves Captain Sergeant Johnson.
Yep. Yeah, it got me there. Because I was like, no, man, what's wrong with that? This is Sergeant Johnson, who I thought was Captain Keyes. And now I'm looking at Captain Keyes like, oh no. Oh no. Are they going to kill him horribly?
Like, is Captain Keyes the greatest character in fiction? No, but like, what made Captain Keyes work is that he was like the noble commander who was scrappy and would always try and figure a way out of a bad situation. That was like, he was like the guy you wanted on your team, the responsible military guy who was always like saddled with something, but he'd always like come up with something. And not the smartest guy, just the scrappiest. That was kind of the appeal. But
okay, I've not made a full call on race swapping yet. So like there's 2 ways on I think about it where I do hate quota filling, and then like how SJWs go, yeah, this will make the other people we don't like mad. I'm like, ugh, please don't do that just to make other people mad, and please don't do it because you're trying to fill up a number. But like then there's the other part of me where it's how I fought my entire life, which is not SJW. It's more of like, if it doesn't change anything, then I don't care. So like Captain Keyes being black dude doesn't change anything.
You're right. It is like a superficial change, and I will admit that there is like a part of me that like is a little bit anal. But maybe I'm just angry that like you want a great black role, give the character that everyone loves.
Oh man, like I'm with you on there, but like I've been getting to an apathetic point where after what they did to John Boyega and like how much like SJW friends don't seem to notice or care. Like I'm almost giving up. Like it's not like they ever try ever. So, yeah.
I assume you enjoy the swagger of Soren though.
A little bit. It's just it's more of those things. For him, it's more of like again, man. They no offense to Bokeem Woodbine because he's like an immortal character actor. A lot of people love him. He's been around for years. So. But yeah, it'd be cool if like, they could cast someone who's, pretty good looking that, normal people, like everybody thinks is good looking versus like, I'm pretty sure white people think the guy who plays Master Chief is a good looking guy. The white woman, Spartan, she's pretty beefy, but she's pretty good looking. But then you get to the black characters. They keep on like these grizzly just men and you're like, can you please try?
You want some Michael B. Jordans in there.
There we go. Please, ever mix it up some. But yeah, I am so sorry that.
No, keep going.
I'm sorry that the thing you love is getting freaking stamped out.
Like I had low expectations. I guess I was kind of like at a low bar, and I was hoping they'd at least cross it, and I'd be like, yeah, like they just all the choices are just bad and terrible. I'm curious to see what you'll think if you'll fall on my side because you're being very forgiving. I can accept that you don't have $1 billion and blah blah blah, and you can't have big action sequences, but you could be. Well, it's like I don't know. You ever hear the classic manga series Berserk?
Yes.
It got Berserk will never have like a full 100% good adaptation, but like the 1997 was like considered to be the highest regard, and there's a lot of no animation scenes, and the reason why it's held in such high esteem is it works within its limitations. Okay. Oh, we can't have a lot of motion, then we'll at least have these gorgeous matte paintings that will zoom across, or we'll have really great music. It's a great example of how you can elevate limitations and work around them.
So yeah, this is the thing that I think you're pointing out, like someone I'm thinking about, where if you're approaching how like Japan does it. So like it seems like they when they do an anime, they're not doing their own remix of the manga that taps everything they want to be. It's funny you should mention that. They do a good job. Because creating the manga, and Halo's not doing that, and a lot of stuff's not doing that.
In the late 90s and early 2000s, there were a lot of anime, big mangas that got adapted, and they got anime only endings, like Rurouni Kenshin and Full Metal Alchemist. But that trend is pretty much dead now. Where I don't know if like the producers understood that like people like it for the manga material. That's what they're coming for. So let's not make a shitty filler anime original ending. Let's keep to the canon. And I appreciate that. And I could be fine not following the Halo, the Silver storyline, but like I still want it to feel like Halo. I don't want it to feel like a mediocre, terrible show with horrible acting and bad, stupid choices. Like the Spartan who takes out her memory chip or emotion chip, and then she fucking dyes her hair.
Yes, that maybe my eyes started shifting while I was watching. I was like, I mean, I know there's certain people this will very much appeal to.
Does it? Are there like Twitter stands?
Oh yeah, SJW fans are. Oh my gosh, he's doing the hair thing.
I've not seen anyone. If you have evidence,
you're right. I haven't seen anyone. You're right. Like the friends who normally who do just clap at all SJW things. You're right. I definitely have not seen them say anything about Halo whatsoever. Not even like a passing comment. So
because like
they're trying.
Here's I think what makes me really angry. I haven't seen it yet. I want to see it. There are a lot of movies I really want to see. I need to like go to a movie theater and just sit there for like 6 hours. Mm-hmm. But the Sonic movie series.
Mm-hmm.
Is the first Sonic a great movie? No, but they listened to the fans. They got a better, accurate representation. They got a better character design. It saved the movie. The second movie comes down. It's still got like a bunch of the lame, real human people stuff, but it also has so much Sonic fan service. Like you got Tails, you got Sonic on the Tails biplane, you've got Knuckles, you got Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles hanging out. You've got Jim Carrey Robotnik, where he builds a giant egg Death Destroyer, and there's Supersonic. It's like all these elements that like it seems like it was a big turning point. That like, hey, these people like these things, so let's use them and build set pieces from these things that people are familiar with and like. Mm-hmm. And it seems like it's working. And then it's not just that. There's the Cuphead TV show, which is supposed to be really good. There's Arcane, which I've seen half of it and is surprisingly far better than it has any rights to be. Castlevania.
It sounds like you're saying that. Because what I'm saying is like, hey, shit happens when you adapt. But you're saying no. Where there are a lot of examples that you can adapt faithfully and still succeed.
Yeah. There are things faithful. You're just
even that might be the better choice they should be doing. Because I've been let's see, I've been like doing lots of He-Man stuff lately, and like one of the things that killed He-Man was that they were trying to go for more girls, and therefore He-Man was doing great with what it was doing, and like while they were marketing it to boys, they were never at the start of it going, but how can I make this appeal more to specifically boys? Versus like the creation process I saw was like a lot of old head dude guys who loved John Carter and Conan, and they get to freestyle and create something. And then like just creating something, it drew boys and girls because they're just trying to make it. But then they started to try and make it for girls. They instead of just creating He-Man that everybody loved, they created a product that can appeal to another demographic, which starts taking away from what people love in the first place. And then like they stopped making He-Man episodes altogether and just did She-Ra episodes, and that killed it. So instead of like taking Halo and saying, well, okay, we'll have Halo, but we need to also appeal to the female demographic. Therefore, we're going to shove this in, and then also the parental demographic who might be also, we're going to shove this in here. And then they start changing it into something else versus the thing that was successful in the first place.
Well, here's a question, though. When you say Halo's woke, because it doesn't feel like something that's been like carpet bombed entirely, but there's still like things that feel like, I don't know, there's an interesting article about how they talked about how like writers and showrunners who worked for years are all terrified to go against the new social, the new message paradigm. Yeah, as the Critical Drinker says, the message.
Yeah, the message.
And it feels like they're like, it's not driving it, but they're subtle things but like from a surface level, you don't feel like Halo is designed for the message.
No, I don't. It is not going like, so new Star Wars went hard on just the message and everything else just died away. And Halo's not doing it. I'm seeing them making sure that there's visual cues that appeal to it. But it's not like trying to turn Halo into a message.
That is true, because like, God, that whole sort of magical, stupid subplot, I hate it so much, because I mean, that feels like that's kind of messagey, like, it feels like someone threw in their failed YA book adaptation.
Oh. They're inching the chief more toward being very, very much a chosen one.
Not really the chosen one, just that girl who's like, I hate that whole insurrection. Yeah, fuck the military, fuck the U.S. government, fuck Joe Biden. That's the energy Quan gives off, and the fact that she's like gonna go back to like her home planet, and then they have this whole terrible storyline where she's like, they have that guy from Pacific Rim, and he's the evil insurrectionist. So now the good rebels have to get rid of the bad rebel, and she's like, oh, I've got to go get my parents' generals. We're gonna get it back. And then there's this great scene where she like meets her aunt in like a prayer ceremony or whatever for her dead dad, and then he says, basically, there's no hope of a rebellion. It's over. Everyone's gone. And then she gets her like aunt killed because the evil insurgents, not the good insurgents, it had the same energy of Falcon and Winter Soldier with Carly Morgenthau, or whatever her name was. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, making it more about Quan sounds like they are doing that thing that I said they probably shouldn't do.
Because like it's just right now it's an A-B storyline where you've got like the A storyline is the Master Chief and dealing with the Covenant and finding out. Oh yeah, then they have a scene where the fucking Master Chief, like, I hate that the Forerunner artifacts and he's the special one for some reason. And he's like getting visions and it gives him flashbacks from his childhood. And then they have like 20 minutes where they go back to the fucking Master Chief's home and they're like digging up fucking shit in his backyard to find the Covenant magical artifact, and it reminds him how his dog died.
That is actually the exact scene that I've stopped on, and I've not gotten to. I did not figure out. I've not gotten to the part where it's all about him finding out his dog died. What the?
There's a scene there where he's like remembers burying his dog. And he's like, oh, maybe the artifact's there. You're either close to it or you're about to get to it.
So yeah, I'm not in love with it. I'm never really excited about watching the next episode. All I know is like when I watch it, I'm like, okay, I'm not seeing like basically a Three Stooges act of Halo, which is like I will see like Matrix Resurrection. That was watching a Three Stooges act of what someone thinks Matrix is. I'm not seeing that, although I'm seeing annoying things. It's just not like a fucking travesty.
I mean, it's got enough surface level things to feel like Halo, but like I would have liked a more gritty Band of Brothers storyline. I would have like kept the Spartans maybe a little bit more aloof. I would have focused on an ODST squad, so you can have that sort of grounded action set pieces. I would have had the Master Chief be a mythical figure who everyone is like kind of like held up in high esteem. I would have set up the Covenant as like a very prominent threat, a very like life-ending threat. Like, oh, just open up the series with the Covenant glassing a planet. That's how you open it. Yeah, let's see some Invincible shit there. Some nice people hanging out on a nice futuristic city, talking about space shit. Like that scene from Invincible where before Omni-Man and Invincible crash into the fucking building. And then you introduce the Covenant, you introduce that idea, and then you show off the people who are trying to fight it and trying to learn about the Covenant. That's always fascinating to have this alien threat and then have the audience learn about the Covenant as the characters are, as humans are making first contact with this threat that is versus here where it just seems like, oh, there's that war. Oh, those Covenant. We better figure out a way to win this war. And like the fact that like the separatists are like, wow, we don't like you. It's like the equivalent of like aliens come and it's like, screw you, Donald Trump. We don't want to work with you, Republican fascists. They're fucking aliens.
Yeah.
You saw aliens kill your dad.
I think I'm not sure how much further we can go on this one. I there's no way I can. I'm not even trying to say that it's great. I'm not even saying that's great. It's just like I'm only watching it so I can comment on it. Actually,
I'm amazed that you're enjoying it because like, what was your favorite Halo campaign?
ODST.
Oh, interesting choice.
I love very much how much it felt like this was my character versus doing the big Master Chief like save the universe character. It's just like it just felt like more my story, and I love Nathan Fillion, so it was like I get to be a space soldier next to Nathan Fillion. So yeah, I got like a couple figures of the Rookie.
Oh, nice. For me, it's like a combination between Halo 2 and Halo Reach. I like Reach a lot because it's a really varied campaign with a lot of variety. Just because Halo 3 or Halo Reach, and I also love the sense of melancholy. It's like the best of like example of the Bungie mythos. The fact that you've got
lose in the end.
Exactly, you lose in the end. Every little bit, you lose a team member. One gets shot. I also think it did a great job of representing the different Spartan dynamics, because there's like the Spartan 2s, and there's Jorge, the guy with the minigun. He's like a Spartan 2, so he's like very affectionate towards Catherine Halsey's like mom, and he's kind of a little bit more brutish versus the Spartan 3s, who are just basically like kids who are picked up in the streets and jacked up with chemicals and put in suits that aren't quite as good as the Spartan 2s, but it doesn't take as long to make them. You know, I like that like little attention to the lore. I like the losing overall. I love that sense of melancholy. I love the fact that it roped in to like the beginning of Halo, so the series of the 4 games makes a perfect circle. But Halo 2, I just have a lot of affection because I think it expanded the lore. It took a big chance with like giving you the Covenant side, which I thought was super cool. I love playing as Arbiter. Yeah, and 2 guns. Everyone loves the 2 guns and the vehicle jacking. So I just have a lot of affection for Halo 2. And of course, it had my favorite multiplayer of the series.
All right.
But it's just like, I would like it to be good. Like all in college, I fantasized about like what a Halo TV series we would like, you know, friends would nerd out. Oh, Neil Blomkamp and these warthogs. Oh, this is so cool. District 9. Oh my God, this guy would be there you go.
So what I've been doing lately is like every time I run into something that disappoints me like that, I go and find a different property that can do it right. So like, yeah, like if I want good Star Wars, I go and watch Guardians of the Galaxy and the Marvel stuff. If I want good He-Man, I've been watching The New Adventures of He-Man, which is surprisingly pretty good after decades of hating on it. And with Halo, I would suggest that if you haven't seen it yet, not watching this show, but watching Roughnecks.
The Starship Troopers. Yeah, I've seen pieces of it. Maybe I'll watch that, and I'll watch Battlestar Galactica and think of
I was religious on how much I loved that show. Like, I watched the living shit out of it, and it does, I'm pretty sure it does actually layer for layer everything you want in a Halo TV show.
I think it does. I think it is that kind of grounded, gritty military. And Ron Moore was very like, this isn't Star Trek. They don't replicate dilithium crystals. If shit breaks on a ship, it's a big deal.
And they even continually have but you lost the war.
Yeah.
Over and over again in surprising, huge, awesome ways. So I recommend.
Yeah, I think I'm still gonna watch the end of Halo. This is such a fun disaster. I gotta see the end of it.
Yes, yeah. Sometimes I like watching such things back to back so that I can see like, okay, you had millions of dollars, and these people had several thousand, and look how much better they're doing than you. And it's fun to compare.
All I know is that I'm getting enjoyment from it, but it is not the enjoyment that the showrunners intended.
Like Pircard with me. And the reason why I feel like they might be, I keep on saying this, like, there's small hints as to maybe listening to the podcast I did, which is like every podcast I ended with keep looking up. And every so often, the show's like shoehorn looking up as a catchphrase. And it just seems pretty close. And what was the other thing? And then there's also the part where one of the main writers of Star Trek Prodigy does listen to our podcast. So there's at least somebody out there listening to us, and I do wonder. So I was talking about
how is that Star Trek Prodigy show? It looks really expensive, and it seems like like the design is like so different than anything else I've seen from ever seen from.
It's pretty damn good. It's not
which
good
from,
Star Trek specifically, but you're in for some great animation, great action sequences. It's a great cartoon. And it does do a good job of holding on to the heart of Star Trek at all. So it's actually pretty freaking good. Lower Decks is the best of them, though. That one,
that seems like that's the pinnacle. Prodigy seems like it's got this like interesting middle ground where it's like it's kind of like trying to do a Star Wars without Star Trek, but it's not trampling on Trek lore. It's sort of like
exactly.
It's got, which makes it a lot more palatable than something like Picard.
It's very much not trampling on any lore, and it seems every time the lore appears, it's done with like love and respect, so that you're like, okay. But it is funny you call it Star Wars because like my buddy, his like sons watched it, and like his like 9-year-old got mad and said they're trying to be Star Wars. I'm like, cool. I'm so glad that there are children that can still see that and talk like us. Yeah, he was pretty mad. He was like, nah, this is trying to be Star Wars. And then his older boy was like, yes, they are, but no, this is pretty good.
That's funny. Even the little kid could kind of tell.
Yep.
I'll probably sample it at some point. It seems like it's an interesting space cartoon.
It is.
On its own terms.
It's a very good space cartoon.
So I guess now that we finished the trilogy of failures, I guess you want to go into the positive, the light side of what you've been geeking out and what you've been enjoying.
Let's wrap it up. Like we're almost at 2 hours.
Oh, so, goddamn!
Yeah. First, what have you been enjoying lately?
I have a few things. I saw this great movie. I'm sure you've heard about it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. I highly recommend it.
Yes.
It's the kind of films that feel like we don't get anymore, like a really high concept thing that isn't based on a franchise from the Daniels about a woman played by Michelle Yeoh, who's like down on her luck. I
love her so much.
You will love this movie. It's such a beautiful showcase for her and a love letter to her.
There's like this time in the 90s we were watching Heroic Trio, and that's like one of the earlier Hong Kong movies, and I just fell in love with her, and like my friends saw my face and they're like, "Oh my god, Keith, do you love her?" I'm like, "Oh no!" Like I try to wash it off my face. Like, no, she's just a really good martial artist. Anyway,
oh yeah, you would have loved it. We went to have you ever heard of the Alamo Drafthouse?
No, yeah, I've heard of it.
It's a great movie theater. I don't know if they have any in Wisconsin, but I highly recommend finding one. So what they do is they have a pre-show tailored to each movie. So they had a brilliant pre-show tailored to Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And it was like a retrospective about her career, about her time with Jackie Chan, how she was a great stunt show. They also talked about had clips from the Daniels and their like music videos that like directly influenced the thing. And then they also did this thing about the googly eyes, about putting googly eyes in famous movie scenes. It was like one of the best curated pre-shows they've ever done. It was a perfect way to experience that movie. Nice. So basically what happens is her husband, who's played also by the guy who played Short Round.
Yes.
It's great, and he gives a great performance. He explains to her that there's the multiverse of madness exists, and there's this great evil she needs to stop, and then she like figures out this weird method to transfer to other versions of her in other universes and all these different realities to gain their skills and experience. Ooh. It does a lot. It's emotionally complex. It's ambitious. It's hilarious. It's heartfelt. It's a beautiful family message. Probably the best. I'm going to say this: the best multiverse movie you will see. I really, really enjoyed that. I highly recommend. I think anyone with a nerd sensibility should go seek it out. It's a brilliant showcase. Other thing is, and
you went to the theater to see this.
Yeah, it's in theaters. I'm sure it'll be on demand soon, but I highly recommend it. The other thing I've been geeking out on is 2 mangas that I really love. So, one of my favorite creators just dropped a one-shot. Tatsuki Fujimoto, the creator of Chainsaw Man, dropped an absolutely genius god-tier one-shot called Goodbye Eri. I cannot express how brilliant this comic is. He plays with panels beautifully. He is a master of slice of life. He has this wonderful magical realism while also his absurdist sense of humor. It has one of the best gags you will ever see in any manga and one of the greatest final panels you will ever see. It is his love of cinema poured into everything.
Cool.
It is like I cannot speak more. He's quickly risen to like one of my favorite creators. I want a little Tatsuki Fujimoto shrine. I don't know if you see my videos where I talk about Chainsaw Man, but that anime is going to come. It's going to destroy the internet. What do you say?
I don't think I've seen that one yet. And you do keep talking about. I'm curious. You have my curiosity.
Yeah, I've done one video where I talk about this was like back in 2020. I did a video. Chainsaw Man is the millennial hero everyone deserves and we need. It's a decent overview of the series. Then I talk about my 3 favorite chapters from the series. But this man, he did another one shot called Look Back, which was also brilliant. But I didn't think he could top it, but he did. It's 200 pages. It's a huge magnum opus. Deserves to win every award. I'm shocked that he was able to exceed himself, and I am so excited for whatever he starts publishing Chainsaw Man Part 2, which is supposed to come. But you'll see it. I'm sure you've seen Chainsaw Man on the internet. It's kind of like infecting everywhere with like profile pictures and memes, but it's all like a simpering virus that's ready to explode once the anime hits. Right. But oh god, Goodbye Eri was like an absolute masterstroke. And then there's this other manga I really like that's really impressive called Shoen Shota. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's basically about this Japanese high schoolers who want to be like a comedian team who do this like very specific, basically like Japanese stand-up comedy. And it's just a really expertly crafted series that like hits on all levels. It works as like a battle manga. It also explains the fundamentals of comedy, which is always fascinating to see. And it's as engaging as Death Note. It's funny because the artist is the guy who drew Bakuman and Death Note. But it's not a different writer. But
what's this called again?
Shoen Shota.
Okay.
But it's relatively recent. There's only like maybe 9. Let me see if I can find it perfect.
What do you use to read all your manga?
It's funny you should mention that. I love the age of the manga aggregators. There aren't as many anymore. They've all been killed by copyright. So nowadays, I go to the Viz Media the website, and then if there's a series where I want to find a backlog, you can typically find it by typing in the name of the series, and then you get all the chapters.
Nice. What device and app do you use?
I just read it on the computer, the web browser.
Okay.
Let's see, Comedian. I want to get you a link so you can check it out, but it's a brilliant series. Really strong debut. I've been enjoying it a lot. And then another thing I also enjoyed was the Jujutsu Kaisen 0 movie.
I've heard of this movie. Like, several of my friends are quite excited about it.
I had a lot of fun. I saw it with my good buddy friend Greg. We also went to the Alamo Draft House, which had a fun pre-show where they showed like old yokai cartoons. So you want me to explain Jujutsu Kaisen 0 quickly?
Yes, please.
So Jujutsu Kaisen 0, it's interesting because have you ever watched Jujutsu Kaisen yet, the anime?
Not yet.
I'd highly recommend it. I think you'd really enjoy it. Not on Chainsaw Man's level, but it's a really great adaptation. Pure shonen bliss with a little bit of fun, mean edge, which I always appreciate in my media. You'll have a great time. Highly recommended. So Jujutsu Kaisen 0 is the movie adaptation, but here's what makes it really interesting. I'm sure you've heard of Demon Slayer and the Demon Slayer movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why that movie did so well is it adapted a short arc from the manga, so it was a canon movie. And so basically, because it was a canon movie, it became the most successful movie ever to come from Japan.
Oh my god.
Yeah, you didn't know that? It made more than Spirited Away. It's the highest grossing anime movie, highest grossing movie of Japan. It's like
no, I don't know this.
Yeah, it was nearly $500 million. It was a huge hit.
What?
World destroying hit. So now it started this new thing in anime and manga where everyone's trying to like fight to get canon movies. Fuck making filler movie bullshit. These movies are canon. So Jujutsu Kaisen is the latest in that trend. When Jujutsu Kaisen was originally published, it was like a kind of a 4-chapter one-shot serialization, but then it got revamped and had its main serialization, but that original story is still canon. Those characters are still canon. So it's kind of funny to read them both and see like what changed or what got rearranged, because you can definitely see like the characters they're from Jujutsu Kaisen are still in the main series, but they're more secondary supporting roles, and they got replaced with kind of like better 2.0 versions. Because originally it's like, you got the main character got completely replaced, and originally the main characters, you could see why he wasn't like chosen to be the main protagonist versus the main guy, the pink-haired guy who is in the main series. So basically, it's a prequel story that's still canon, but is also like a prototype of the original series that has also been enhanced by stuff that's happened later in the manga. So they threw in extra stuff like some great fan service of like, here are characters that didn't exist in the manga because it was before it was serialized, but they existed in continuity in the universe, so we're gonna get to see them fight evil cursed spirits and shit. So there's a lot of fun, and it also has a great pacing where it just keeps on ramping up and getting more extreme, and the animation gets better as it rolls up. So it's a very fun experience for me who likes Jujutsu Kaisen and is also a purveyor of manga and loves seeing things through different phases.
Hell yeah! How long is this Jujutsu Kaisen been going on for?
Manga's like maybe 2-3 years. Anime is like started. It's relatively recent. I think in 2000 to 2001 was when the first season of the anime hit, and the second season is supposed to hit in 2023. It hasn't been officially announced yet, but
did you say the first anime was in 2001 and
no,
next
2020?
Okay, cool. Okay,
so it started in 2020 and went into 2021.
Yeah, because I feel like I've been seeing that name for much longer.
Well, Jujutsu Kaisen also sounds like jujutsu, so maybe there's some other thing. But no, it's not. It's not an old series. It's funny, and like Shonen Jump, the big three I think now are One Piece, Jujutsu Kaisen, and My Hero Academia.
Nice. All right.
So yeah, it's carrying the legacy forward. People love it. It's the one of the big three.
All right.
So
what
have
else you been?
That's it for now. What have you been geeking out on?
My main thing has been the New Adventures of He-Man. Are you familiar with it?
Yeah. Well, I'm not super familiar. Is it an older series?
Yes. 1989. Is the universally reviled and panned He-Man series. So what happened was everybody, ooh, all right, we love He-Man. And then, like, they just got a little too cocky, and they're like, yeah, fuck it. Like, let's save some money. Let's stop making He-Man episodes, and let's just lean on She-Ra, and then we got the boys and girls, and woo, we make money forever. Ha, 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 we won. And then all of a sudden, ratings started going down, sales tanked, because, like, me, as a boy back then, I was like, where's He-Man? Why are you guys not doing this anymore? And, yeah, like, we moved on. So to get us back, they're like, New Adventures of He-Man. Like, oh shit, cool, whoa, He-Man's back in the the intergalactic adventure. I'm like, I'm down with that. But then like the first thing you see when you watch it is like, I've been taken to the future, and you're like, wait, what? All of his friends and family are gone? I don't get to see Eternia or anybody? Nope. Like, whoa, wait, what the fuck? No, we're doing space stuff now. All my friends and family are gone. I'm like, oh my god. And like the entire time you're watching, you're like, so Man-Arms and his mom, like, what's going on? And then like all these new characters are just running around, and no one wanted it because it just ditched everything you loved. And now that like I'm older, time has passed, and I'm like gonna just relax. Now that I'm watching it, it is basically He-Man Isekai. They actually do some pretty good stories. They pay attention to how he does miss his real world, and he has to acclimate himself to intergalactic adventures where they do some really actually like this. They're not gonna win any Oscars or awards or anything. It's still late 80s cartoon where the bad guys are pretty goofy and lots of jokes are not actually funny. But it has like it's a nostalgic for me because back then there used to be like cartoons like that. We'd watch it, and then like every so often there'd be these animation spikes of quality in action, and you go, whoa! And me and my buddies used to like focus on those and like get hype and stuff. And like New Adventures of He-Man does that. It's very normal 80s animation. All of a sudden, anime spikes happen, and then the fights are better because He-Man's not crazy overpowered. He's almost fighting equal to Skeletor, so you actually get to see fights play out. There's lots of starship action, lots of fighter starship.
Oh, that's interesting. It's more space based because, like, He-Man was always magical barbarian land based.
Yeah, there's always sections of that where him and his buddies. It's lots of blaster fights too, but he usually makes use his sword. But yeah, there's always like hand to hand, and then there's almost always like starship shootout action sequences. So I've been having a great time just exploring like this unexplored section of He-Man, and I love space space operas. It's that. So I've been having a great time.
You finally rediscovered it and had a good time.
Yep. It's like I said, like I hated He-Man Revelation, so therefore I go to New Adventures of He-Man, which is giving me what I want out of a He-Man show. So I've been having a lot of fun with that, and then looking at the vintage toys and saying, "Oh, I guess I won't be able to get into that." Like maybe 15 years ago or more, or about 10, 15 years ago, you could usually go to eBay and get each one of their toys that no one wanted because everybody hated it. You get like $20, $10, and now all of them are in the $100 range.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's amazing how like stuff is appreciated, and like all these games I got rid of, I should have kept on because they have so much value.
Yep. I'm hoping, it seems like the fandom's coming around. I keep posting in these He-Man groups where people go, no! But there's always these few people who go, so you say it's good. Excuse me. And then lastly, let me get something to drink here. Lastly, I'm getting into Judge Dredd. Have you ever read that?
Oh, I've not read it religiously, but of course I'm familiar with it. I know it has a big reputation.
Yeah, I'm like one of my first dipping my toes into it and finding out like the main thrust is that Judge Dredd and the judges, it's a fascist regime. And like like the story I'm reading right now is like how they're trying to make sure this like little flare up of democracy is happening, and they're trying to stamp it out. And it's really great science fiction because like they're doing it so that everyone isn't being, neither side's being cartoonishly evil, although the judges are being pretty evil. But you can see the world that they live in. You know, humanity's on the brink, and there is no wiggle room at this point in time of humanity, so that they feel they need to have this fascist order to make sure that, you know, humanity doesn't destroy itself. And the art, the cyberpunking, it's all freaking AAA tier. And
I know people like a lot of famous writers have had like Judge Dredd runs, so it's got like an infamous like mythology that's been built up. I forget, it's like it published in 2000 AD mainly.
Mainly, yeah. I'm dancing around. So like right now, I'm trying to stick with like the original stuff done by the original guy, John Wagner. And then the short stories I did get, it has John Wagner and one of my favorite guys of all time, Garth Ennis. So I can't wait to see
I know he's
him in action again.
Also, did you, just out of curiosity, did you enjoy Star Wars Visions and the Boys Diabolical? Speaking of anime anthologies and Garth Ennis?
Visions, yes. I for some reason still haven't seen the last episode, and the boys threw me off.
Really?
Yeah. I want to get back to it. But
the Boys TV series or the Boys animated series?
I haven't seen the animated series whatsoever.
Oh, okay.
Is it good?
Yeah. Well, it's an anthology thing, so it's less canon, but you know, each one is a different style. Each one is a little short story. Each one is a different tone and creator. One was done by like what's her name, Aquafina. Another one was done by Justin Roiland. There was one where Garth Ennis did it, and it like and it emulates the original art style of the Boys comic. That one was
sold. Okay, I'll be watching that tonight.
So
probably.
So the Butcher actually looks like the Butcher. And Huey looks like Simon Pegg, like he was originally intended, like God intended.
Cool. All right, yeah. Then I think I'll be watching it.
So
Garth Ennis in it.
Yeah, that was my favorite one. Some of them are comedic, some of them are more serious. It's less like boys canon. It's more just like okay, there's a corporation that makes chemicals that turn people into superpowers and gives them superpowers. What kind of stories do you want to tell? Cool. I had a lot of fun with it, a lot of different tones, and I appreciated it.
Yeah, I think so. I read The Boys when it was coming out, and that threw me off too because Garth Ennis, he's one of my favorite writers of all time. I love him to death. He goes too hard on how much he hates superheroes. Too hard. I'm like, everyone was like, God damn, dude, chill out. He's like, no, he's doing this and that. Like,
he really hates fucking superheroes.
Yeah.
He really fucking hates you, like all those pent up rage. But he is a great writer. Although that reminds me, one last thing I'm kind of curious to ask you in regards of loving. You didn't like Peacemaker?
Oh, weird. Okay, Peacemaker. I'm a little weird about because I am a disciple of James Gunn, and I felt like I was just watching him fuck around. Like every episode felt like they were having a lot of fun fucking around with each other versus me watching a story that is well written.
I'll tell you this much. There's this friend of mine. It was funny. The one he was calling me a second ago. And we're like, we're going to watch it together. But he's one of those friends where it's like, he's really difficult to pin down. And he always like keeps on pushing it back. Right. He's like, we'll see you. Come over tomorrow. I'm like, fuck you, Jimmy. God damn it. So I've seen 5 episodes of Peacemaker. I haven't seen the last 3, so I can't confirm or deny or defend. I don't feel like it's right, but I so far have thoroughly enjoyed it. I think James Gunn did a really good job of playing with his sensibilities and building a team. I enjoy the twist of like AOD being like Amanda Waller's daughter. I think that's really fun. I'm surprised to see you. I was hearing you on Facebook. You're like, I don't like it. And was it just because it feels like it doesn't take itself seriously enough, or
too goofy? Like, cause I want to. James Gunn is my top dog. And also them having fun isn't a bad thing. It's just that like that's part of like I'm watching it. I'm seeing that they all seem so happy. But it's just like not a coherent, completely. It's too silly. There you go. It's just too silly. It doesn't take itself too seriously. Like it's just too. Haha! Check it out. This little Asian guy. The fight is just funny because of that. Like it is kind of just like I feel like I'm watching you guys. Get high and fall over each other laughing in tears, which is a good thing. But for me, it's not a compelling story.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the argument is that like everything around them is taken semi-seriously, but the Peacemaker and Vigilante characters are basically Arrested Development 14-year-old boys. And that's the sort of logic that comes from the humor. And it's like one of those things where I want to argue with you, but like I feel like I need to see the full series before I like get into that argument. Like I don't discussion
because like I'm not getting why I'm not clicking with it or why I'm resistant to click with it because I want to support my boy, but. Man,
it's strange though that like you enjoy because I know you like you don't mind comedy, but you also like the kind of ridiculous things to be kind of like taken seriously.
Yeah, ridiculous, taken seriously.
And
where
like, Peacemaker's just kind of like kicking the piss out of him because he's kind of like a ridiculous dumb character.
Yeah, and to me, like I take it too personally as if what are you saying? All superheroes are stupid? That's how I react to that kind of art. Like, are you ashamed of cool suits and stuff? You just can't take it?
To me, I hope you're all right there. To me, I read it more as not so much that we're ashamed as much as Peacemaker is a dumb character from the obscure panels of DC history, what does it look like when you take this character who has almost like this two-dimensional worldview of good and evil, and you throw him in a semi-realistic world, and that's where the comedy comes from. I mean, I'll say this much. Out of all the people in Suicide Squad, Peacemaker was not the character I wanted to have a series. But, you know, I do think it's got that off-kilter James Gunn sensibility I love. I love the, whatchamacallit, the opening sequence where they're all dancing.
Yes.
And I do think that, like, James Gunn does a really good job of, like, selling the team dynamic of them and earning it. And I also like how he can still found this ground to be, like, edgy, but still socially responsible edgy, so nobody really... And it doesn't also feel preachy.
Yeah. It's definitely not that. Yeah, even the opening... even the opening dance number makes me... roll my eyes a little bit. I don't like not liking it because everybody's happy. It's James Gunn. I'm gonna get some water real quick. Give me 30 seconds. Maybe edit this part out.
Yeah, of course. That's the beauty of post-production.
All right, so like with Pircard, you know, oh my god, a bunch of fuck ups. They don't care. They care. They're not fuck ups. It's just too much of a like. I'm taking it too personally, where I feel like they're making fun of what I like, and they just feel that what I like is inherently dumb, and let's make a dumb dance to it to show that we're with the cool people and not taking it too seriously. So yeah, that's why that's my problem with it.
And did you see all the episodes, or did you just see like the first two?
All the episodes, because
okay,
I want to support him.
Yeah, you do enjoy it. I do love James Gunn, and I think the world needs his brand of comedy and entertainment. And God bless him for being able to survive in our ecosystem.
Yeah, and also hopefully I make a. I'm also open to maybe coming around to it. I keep on trying to, because like I also very much didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 when I first saw it in the theater. I came out of that theater going, But then Lindsay Ellis did her review on it.
She did a really I did like her take. She did a really. I still don't like it, but I think that's the best defense of like appreciating it as high art that I've ever seen. So
that take on it changed how I saw it. So when I came back to it, there's a masterwork for me now.
To me, I still think it's a little too episodic for my likings, where it feels like each Guardian goes in their own separate TV show episode versus one story. And then in the last 30 minutes, it's like, all right, we got to tell a unified story now.
Yeah, I guess I really love the heart that each story had. And then I love all the designs. And my only problem is, did you guys destroy the Milano? Please tell me you didn't destroy the Milano. Like every time like James Gunn makes a post about like the next one, I'm like, so how's the Milano? Do you want to tell us if it's still alive, guys?
Yeah. Oh, also one thing I've been geeking out a little bit that I think you have too, and this is also kind of reminds me. Speaking of interacting with people, is what do you think of Adi Shankar's Guardians of the Justice?
Guardians of Justice. I watched it. I absolutely loved it. It seemed like a great creation. I fell out of it a little bit by the end because there was a lot of random chaos happening. Well, but I like he did it.
I loved the execution. Like I loved that multimedia. That to me was like so fun. I just wish that there was it was telling a better story.
Okay. Yeah. The way he was doing it, I think I was like watching to see like how much of this was created in the edit versus what was intended.
because like, to me it felt like it's like, all right, I'm gonna do like my dark take on DC and Marvel and make my own universe. But to me it felt like really much try hard Watchmen imitator without really much to say, and like, oh well, did you know Batman's kind of fucked up? Oh, what if super
Yeah. Yeah, heroes are inherently fucked up. Like, yeah, I know they are.
It felt like really like basic bitch 13-year-old edgelord take, especially at the end where it's like the Nighthawk guy becomes evil for like reasons I still don't fucking understand. And then there's like, I was so confused. So was the Superman analog, was he gay? But then the drug memory guy altered his memories. But then Nighthawk's gay and he was gay for Montreal. I did not understand. Like what and then Nighthawk's just like, I gotta become evil. I'm actually making an evil secret army.
Yeah, I guess like to me, with what he was doing, it seemed like a logical endpoint of like escalation all the way. But yeah, I wouldn't say it was the cleanest execution of a coherent narrative.
It's like one of those things that like I want to love this. I am so on board. I love this presentation. This is so fun and cool. But Jesus, well, Adi Shankar is like a really, because he's basically like one of us who actually got to make it.
Yes.
I don't know how. I've not found the connecting bridge. I don't know if he's like, because you don't go to fucking LA and just become like a movie producer. That's not how this shit works. So I don't know if he came from like a rich family. I'm always looking for that link, that missing link of where he went from college to, doing cool movie shit. But I think his real talent is like getting people like Warren Ellis to write the Castlevania series and picking cool video games and doing cool adaptations. But I don't think he's a great writer in and of himself.
May he never listen to this.
I'm sorry, Adi, you are great. I don't know if you'll ever listen to this. I think you were the cool guy who's making all the cool geek shit.
Yes.
But your love and appreciation is kind of basic for why you like these things.
Maybe he would know. Like, we're all not the best at our job. Because like the reason why I want to like, so I thought. He'll probably never listen to this. So yeah, so I thought like he was the main man behind Castlevania, but apparently he wasn't.
Well, I know he's a producer role on it. I don't know if he has a creator credit, but I know he had like a big instrumental role.
And then big falling out.
Oh, really? Well,
him and was it Grant Morrison writing it or
Warren? Well, I know Warren Ellis, but I don't know if they fought. All right, so here's what I know. I know Warren Ellis got into like a Me Too controversy, like the most weak sauce Me Too controversy of all time. Basically, he slept with fangirls at conventions. He basically did the dweeby.
Oh no, okay, I apologize. I definitely don't mean to laugh at that. Because like it's just like it was like early 2000s, late 90s. There's a friend of mine. He was flirting with her. It was just so to find out that and she always had this kind of like snicker roll her eyes at him because he's just another guy, and it's so that from there it's progressed into he got into trouble with messing out with all these like fangirls that he was messaging. Apparently it just
he was just like propping him. He's basically you're super special. Here's my thing about the Warren Ellis cancellation. I think what he did was skeezy and sleazy.
Yes,
but it wasn't illegal. It was basically just like rock stars, sleeping with groupies. Only the dweeby comic book version of it.
Yes.
Which isn't illegal. So I don't think that's a cancelable offense. It's, it just means like if you see him in a convention and he's paying you too much attention, maybe you don't believe everything he's saying. I don't think it's a cancelable offense. But because, in the era we live in, it's like, oh, he's grooming me. He did all these blah, blah, blah. He's gaslighting me. He promised me everything. He's going to turn me into the IRL filthy assistant. So obviously there was the chickens came to roost and he was kicked off of, I think, the Castlevania series.
Warren Ellis was?
Yeah, Warren Ellis.
He's no longer on, because there's another season coming.
Yeah. I think there's a spin-off series that's going to take place in the future, and he's not on it.
Yikes! Because I finally did finish that full series, and god damn, that was good.
Yeah, there you go. You could have had a Halo series for that.
So, yeah, if he's not gonna, because I'm on board for more, but if he's not gonna be him, that's a bummer.
I hope they get a good replacement. He did a great job elevating that material. It did not have any right to be as well written as it was, but it was certainly a delight. So
not easy replacing good writers like that.
So, I don't know if Adi Shankar or Warren Ellis, what their personal relationship is, but I will say that it did not feel like Warren Ellis wrote The Guardians of Justice.
No.
But by the same token, though, I did appreciate the bootleg universe, the aesthetic, all the cool, like, the anime, and then going to, like, a video game sequence, and then pixel art, and then live action, and...
Explosively creative. I loved seeing that. That was fun to unfold. That was a fun project to watch unfold, so... All right. Anything else that we should bring up? Because I think I'm about to... ready to wrap this up.
I think we've got a good 2+ hours for forever your guy's going to edit it to make a decent podcast.
Yep.
Was there any other nerd thing that... well, this is one random aside. You ever hear of Platinum End?
No.
So what... All right. Insert Inception music. What if I told you the creator of Death Note and Bakuman made a new series, the artist-writer team, and it was about angels of trying to fight to choose the new god in a god death match with Death Note mind games. And the series was complete dog shit.
Oh no! Oh no! I'm always surprised when that happens. Like when geniuses lay down turds. Like,
yeah,
what happened?
I don't.
That's a bummer.
Don't know. I've had a lot of fun dragging my fun friend Greg through the terrible anime adaptation of the terrible series. It is so you might get a weird kick out of it. For no reason, it becomes a Sentai battle series where like one of the guys who's like an angel god candidate like starts wearing Sentai battle armor and flies around. And
what's this called?
Platinum End. Like for half the series, it becomes like this weird Sentai battle manga, which is so confusing because this is not built to be a battle manga. This is not built to be a battle story. You do not have the mechanics to make this work. And
is this a manga or anime? Or which one are you talking about?
It's both. It was a manga that became an anime. It was a bad manga that became a bad anime.
Did you see both?
Yes, I saw both.
Damn, dude. Platinum End on Crunchyroll. Maybe I'll give the first episode a spin. Take a look.
Take it. I think you'll find it very interesting. Oh boy, will you see a downgrade. But I also included links to the comedy manga and Show and Shota and whatchamacallit, Goodbye Eri in the chat for this. So feel free to check those out when you get a chance.
Cool.
But I think that ends all I've got for today.
Rock on. So, where can we find more of your work on the internet?
You can check it out on Lobster Magnet reviews. Just type that into Google. My SEO is good enough that you'll probably get to my channel, and you can check out all my video essays. And go watch all of those. Comment on them. I'll probably read your comments since I read most of my comments.
Cool. And for myself, you can find this podcast and more on popgeeks.com. You can find me on Twitter at Keith Hayward, on Instagram as @KeithJustice, and same for my Twitch. So thank you guys for hanging with us for 2 hours of dorking out, and we look forward to geeking with you again, where we talk about, I don't know, Book of Boba Fett, and just a lot of stuff coming out. So we'll see you next episode.
See you next episode. God, I don't want to have another hour, but could you give me like a 2-minute take of Spider-Man No Way From Home?
Oh my God, yes, we were supposed to talk about that. But Bloody loved it. Bloody well loved it. It's doing all these piles of things that everybody thought was impossible, would never happen, and then it did happen. A little too cookie cutter with like tying up everything, but had so much fun seeing the 3 Spider-Men fight together in a way that I almost only thought would only happen within meme pictures.
Yeah, I loved it too. I thought it was great. I mean, there's a lot of things you could nitpick about it, like the kind of flat direction of the home trilogy guy who's kind of like a really journeyman director.
Yes.
The fact that like it was filmed during COVID and it looks like a lot of scenes all the people aren't in the same room.
Yep.
The kind of okay action sequences, the plot holes, but what it gets right of like doing the impossible, getting all these characters back, and also giving them satisfying ends and great character arcs, easily outweighs the flaws. It was a tremendous amount of fun. Never thought they would be able to do it, but it's nice when it feels like the right people are in charge of it and they give the people what they wanted. And they even retroactively redeemed the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. That was brilliant. It was so sweet seeing them all together. And I also loved the fact that they gave the villains little redemption stories. It was really sweet and perfect and a great capsule. It was funny to see that, like, this was Spider-Boy, but he becomes Spider-Man at the end of it and sets up a new status quo where Sony will inevitably ruin it as they try and jam him with Venom and Morpheus.
If they do, like they did, like I keep on seeing them inch toward it and then backing away, and yeah, I'm wondering like what's really going on, because I remember that there's like Amy Pascal and Kevin Feige. They're in some interview together, and Amy Pascal kept on going, yeah, they're kind of like, one universe. And Kevin Feige was like, and yeah, so they're trying, but I'm not sure how much that Marvel really wants to, because Sony keeps on laying down trash.
Well, it's a really interesting dynamic, because I think Amy Pascal knows that Kevin Feige's got the touch, and the better you work with him and do his ideas, the better movies you'll make. So I feel like, they want that involvement, but they also want to feel like we can have our own superhero universe. People love Venom. And it's like, no, they don't. They don't like Morbius. You're not good at this. I know you think you are. And they know that, like, the minute that they go independent, they'll give Tom Holland, like, the foster child being fostered on the Harry Potter being sent to the Dursleys, and they will never look back and never acknowledge him and never like do anything. So it is their desire for money versus their own vanity and greed.
Next up for Sony is Madam Web.
Oh my god.
It's really happening. Like, they cast a young lady to be Madam Web, because
that is such a terrible idea, almost as bad as the Aunt May movie.
No, this will make it so they have a female character that's above Superman. Like, this is the god of all of them. So
doesn't she just sit in a chair and like look at different timelines? I remember her from like the Spider-Man cartoon I loved in the 90s. Isn't that all Madam Web does?
Yep, but I guess it creates a character that can, multiverse.
Oh god, and then they can finally get their Sinister Six movie that they want so fucking badly. Yeah, well, the multiverse is going to be the best and worst things. In the hands of great filmmakers, it's a great way to make everything retroactively make good things bad, but it's also a way to ruin terrible things and let shitty people. I heard the end of Morbius has this awful scene that looks like where they just have like Michael Keaton and come in, and it doesn't even look like they're talking, and it's like, hey, you want to team up against Spider-Man?
Yep. You can tell they aren't in the same place, same time. And then there's another one where they have their Ratchet version of the Vulture suit.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that ends up.
I don't think it's gonna end well. They're not gonna like. Spider-Verse is a miracle that was as good as it is. I hope Chris Lord and Phil Miller are still there doing their juicing to make the second one not suck. But
Harry, let's talk more on the next podcast.
All right, yeah, you're right. I didn't force myself to go to the gym. I've been eating too much. Gym time.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to us, and we'll talk to you next time. Take it easy, and thanks for hanging with us.
Thanks for having me, Keith. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, dude. Take care.